Welcome to Spurs Vision TV. I haven't done it in such a long time, right? When I started the
Yeah, I know.
countdown,
Yeah.
I forgot to press the go live button.
Oh,
Let's say, what's going on? Oh yeah, I forgot to press the go live button. Hi guys, good evening to all you guys wherever you are. Good morning, good afternoon, right? Hope everyone is well and everyone's watching. And if you are, put some comments in if you are watching right now, right? So today I have Kashaf here and of course Hasper, Harry, right?
hey, you're
And
right.
of course Scott Scott M, if you want to join us, I'll send you the link, right? Hope all you guys are doing well, right? I've not done a show in such a long time, because of work and all that. And I just thought maybe it's really game week 2, right? Has passed, and maybe just get some shows on. And Keshaf was more or less there, quite, he was coming on, so that's why. Uh, let's see how that goes, right? And guys, let me go through the chats. Big up to Scott M. Big up. Hope you're well, Scott. And Chris, big up to you too, Chris. Hope all you guys are well, right? Maybe today will be an interesting show, right? Because we'll go through the games first, right? And at this moment in time, let's go through the first game. Two games that, of course, we'll go first will be game week 1, Leicester 1, Spurs 1. Game week 2, Spurs 4, Everton 0. Being a Spurs fan, I will go last here. I'll go to Kesha first since he's the West Ham guy here, right? Did you watch any of the games, Kesha? Our games?
I did catch up with the highlights for the Spurs Everton game. I didn't watch any of them, but I caught up. I would just watched a bit of the Spurs Everton game. I thought Everton were actually a mess, really. Um, I think prior to Everton playing their first game against Brighton, I think two tough oppositions they played. Um, they've not been good. I mean, both team. I mean, Everton and Spurs have been playing quite well, considering, and also the players they've been bringing in. Solanke for what 65 million, and quite a chunk of fee considering Spurs haven't brought in quite a huge transfer fee for a striker like that in previous years since Kane has left.
No.
And
We got Richarlison.
Richarlison, I was going to say that, yeah.
how much was that? 50 something or
55
50.
plus add-ons
55?
rising to
Oh,
60
okay.
something, I think,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, I forgot
He was
about
a
that.
striker, though. I mean, supposedly, yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I did catch up with the highlights. I thought Spurs, considering how they played last season, I think you could see the pattern of play and how Ange wants to play. I think it's considerably the same pattern of play. And I think Everton, they didn't really respond to how they wanted to, I mean, play. And I think Spurs were all over Everton. I mean, Son was fantastic from what I've seen. I think the past two games has been really good. And I think Solanke, from what I've seen in I think he caught up an injury, if I'm not mistaken. He wasn't available, so he wasn't able to play. But from what I've seen, I think it's been good from Spurs. I can't comment so much because I've only seen the highlights. But from what I've seen, I think it's the signings they've made also are quite interesting. I think they've signed, if I'm not mistaken, a Danish midfielder. I think Bergstrom, if I'm not mistaken.
Bergvall, do you mean Bergvall?
I don't know how I pronounce it.
Swedish, I
Bergstrom.
think. Well, it's Swedish, if I'm not mistaken.
Swedish, sorry, Swedish. And then you brought in Solanke and also that your winger Odobert from Burnley.
From Burnley, yeah. We
Yeah,
also signed
interesting
that
signings.
Korean guy. I don't know, I can't remember his name.
Yang.
Archie Gray, another 18-year-old.
Oh yes, Archie Gray. Yeah, he's also
Who's
very good.
another 18-year-old? Werner. I've got Werner, I know, unfortunately, but
But yeah, so far it's been good. I've always said I like Spurs pattern of play since you brought Anjin the first time. So it's always been high tempo, high pressing, and yeah, it's nice to watch Spurs. Even though I'm coming from a rival fan, but yeah, to say that, yeah.
Yeah. But honestly, right? I'll go to Harry, Hasper, Harry. So I'm sure. I mean, the games that we've gone through, you will have a lot of comments to say about. Right? Big up to Kumas too, right? Big up to Keshaf, yeah. Right, Harry, your thoughts on the two games, right?
all right. Well, the first game was, I think, very disappointing because on paper we should really be beating Leicester if we're being completely honest. And I think we got the goal, and then we kind of just invite pressure onto ourselves, and we tend to do this a lot. Or our players become too comfortable, but I think this has been a symptom, I think, of Ange since he's come in. We just always look very relaxed. We don't look like we're always on it, as I like to say. And I think we let Leicester back in, and it could have been even Leicester winning the game by the end of it. I mean, Vardy obviously scored his goal, and he had a few chances afterwards. Richarlison missed that chance right at the end, but I think after they scored, it was all Leicester really, and it could have been a lot worse. But on paper, we really should be beating this team. As for the Everton game, I kind of think I overestimated Everton because I went to the game and I thought they'd give us a bit more than what we saw. But apart from Dwight McNeil, they didn't really give us any sort of threat. I think they're probably the worst Everton side I've seen come to Tottenham. And there's no relation to Dyche. I know you mentioned Dyche in the comments. I don't think Dyche is going to have enough to keep them up, to be honest, this year. I think this is Everton have never gone down. Yeah, Everton have never gone down. Okay, so I think this might be you know how to say the cat runs out on 9 lives.
Yeah.
I think this is it for Everton. I think this could be it. Calvert-Lewin looked a shadow of the player he was whenever he had that season. He offered literally nothing, and I just don't think they were crap and we got the job done. And by 2 comments on the actual goals, I think I was happy with the Basuma goal because it was outside the box. I was happy with the Romero goal because it was from a corner. Because those are 2 goals we rarely see. I don't know how much Keshav watches us, but we tend to score the same kind of goal every time. So if we can score more goals from corners and obviously prevent more corners, because that was the sequence when Everton had those corners, I thought they were going to score. And that's the only time I ever kind of felt threatened in the game, really. And then obviously with the goal with Basuma scoring outside the box, we need to take more shots like that, and we don't really do it. So if we can add more variation with goals, I think we'll have maybe a bit more. I don't know, maybe finish 4th this season instead of 5th or something, or could have different variation of goals. But from what I've seen so far, we're going to be nowhere near the title, as Ange said 12 months ago we might be, and I don't think we're going to trophy this season.
Come on. We know that's more of a PR stunt by Ange, right? Saying you're going to challenge for the title and all that. But guys, to tell the truth, right? For the first 2 games of what I saw, right, to tell the truth, the Leicester game showed a lot of our weaknesses in not being what called critical or taking our chances, right? We created a lot of chances in that first half. And of course, somehow or another, we lost our way during the second half, and especially after when Vardy scored their goal, our heads went down, and they had that momentum, right? And that was the fear for us. And whenever another team has a momentum, and the way we play, right, with the high line, right, it gives us a lot of scares. But in the end, I can say we're considered lucky, scraping out there for 1-1 draw, right? But if we did take our chances in the first half, we could have been about 4 goals up, right? Even before the 30th minute or something like that, if I'm not mistaken, right? And for the Spurs game, guys, Everton were really, really bad, right? And
they were worse than I thought they were. And I thought they were
I know. I thought Dyche would have made a very good low block plan and the ball over the top, and the VDV would be like running back 10, 20 times to cover our asses playing that highlight. But the thing is that I think with the injuries that Dyche had, he didn't have much choice, and I think he was quite lost at that point.
I think they missed Brantwaite massively.
Yeah, Brantwaite, they missed Brantwaite, yeah. And it's not to say they didn't have chances. They did take shots at our goal, but the thing is that they weren't clinical enough, so they didn't get what called the goals in. But for us walking away with 4-0, and because of that 4-0 scoreline, right, I said it on Dan's show earlier, it's papering over the cracks of our weaknesses in the overall. But hopefully, by the time a few more games down the road, a lot of things will be ironed out, and the players will be called.
Eugene, I was at the game. I know we're 4-0. I'm saying you can't say anything critical because we won 4-0 or anything negative, as people like to label it nowadays. But even though Everton didn't have the quality, they were doing these long balls, and we looked still really open. Like it was still just Van der Ven and Romero at the back. I know people were saying Basuma was dropping more back. but I didn't really see it that much. It was maybe in a few, like 10, 15 minutes of the game he did that, I think. Just to collect the ball. Like when people say he drops back, it's more just collect the ball just to go forward again. He doesn't really drop in and sit with the other two when we're defending, for example, which is what's more important than dropping in and picking up the ball and then trying to bring it forward, right? We're more concerned about someone dropping in and helping those two out because especially we've got Newcastle away with Isak and whoever else they got.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is the test will be coming up soon, right? Because we've got a stretch of really tough games coming up. Newcastle away, Arsenal at home. Even I think if within this next 6 games, we're going to play West Ham too, if I'm not mistaken.
We've got Brentford, West Ham United as well, Man United.
Yeah,
as well.
United too. Yeah, Manchester United. Yeah, I'm just waiting for maybe Ram from the Plot Malaysia to join us. He's a Manchester United fan. But what at this moment in time is that the thing is that it's still early days in the season, and we had a very weird call. I think a lot of teams now are feeling the after effect of the Euros and the Copa America being so close to the beginning of the season. A lot of players and all that, they are still trying to get acclimatized back to the form that they need for the Premier League, because when you go and play for the internationals, right, it's a totally different style of football, and you have to come back and then you don't get enough rest, and it plays on. But like I said, we'll see, and we'll move on, and let's see how we progress from there. And of course, a lot of people were hyping up on Odebear, right, guys? Odebear, right?
He did all right, but I didn't see any end product.
He did all right. It was okay. He showed potential, and a lot of I think Dan said it or something, right? It's like, or was it someone else on the day on Dan's show? He was saying something like, we lack that kind of winger that takes on and go forward and drive. You understand? And now we have one. I mean, he did okay, nothing brilliant, nothing fantastic, but it hypes up the fans again. There is potential there. But things that if you look at stats, right?
Yeah. Sorry, Eugene, because obviously people talk about the last wing we had like that was Son, because Son, in my eyes, is not a winger anymore. He doesn't have the pace. He's not the same player. He should be playing where he was playing on the weekend. And I think it kind of showed that we should be playing him up front, which kind of poses a problem with Solanke because we signed Solanke. So right now, I'd probably sell Richarlison and just place Son or Solanke up front. That's what I would do. I wouldn't try and push them. I don't think Solanke and Son can really be effective in the same team together, unless we're like 10 minutes left, chasing a game. You want to chuck on both of them to try and score a goal. I mean, that's very different. It's not tactical. It's just like gung-ho when you score a goal to equalise or something. But in reality, Son isn't a winger anymore anyway. But obviously, people talk about Son, Bale, Lennon as the wingers we had like that back in the day. But if I'm being honest, when I saw Odegaard play, he did all right. I'd say he's about, do you remember Wayne Routledge?
Yeah, I remember Wayne Routledge. Yeah.
He reminded me a lot of that, to be honest. And Wayne Routledge wasn't really the best player. So hopefully he turns into more like a Lennon or a Son or a Bale. But right now, you can't really say I think we're so starved of half decent wingers. As soon as someone sees something which is a bit different, and also because he's young, he's 19, they're thinking, oh, he can become an amazing player. But we don't know. Everyone just gets overexcited. It's just unfortunately, because when you get starved of something so much, once you get a little bit of it,
No, Harry, it's the same like when we had Mourinho, Nuno, and Conte, right? When Ange came in, right? It was like, wow, we feel like, oh, we're attacking again. We're not sitting back. We're not playing counter-attacking football. It's that same kind of feeling that, like you're so starved for a certain kind of style, and all of a sudden someone comes in and give you something extra, right? A little bit that push you, and the whole fan base.
I'll give you an example. I know this is a food example, but it's like I haven't eaten Oreos in like a long time. So if I would open a packet now, I'd probably eat the whole thing. I think it's like the most amazing thing ever.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but it is how football fans are, right? Hi, Manny. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, Eugene. Nice to see you again, sir. And big up to the panel as well. And it's good to talk about the 2 game weeks that have gone by. I think we'll have one more game week before the international break, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, that's
so
good.
I'm glad to see, though, that you aren't making that much of a big deal about the 4-0 win over Everton, because quite frankly, they look absolutely diabolical right now.
Yeah. Hey, Manny, give us your thoughts on the 2 games, the 2 Spurs games, the Leicester game and of course the Everton game.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Well, I'll take a look at the Leicester game. Obviously, we'll be thinking that Spurs should have won that, and Ange would obviously have been disappointed with his players for letting that advantage slip the way they did. And obviously, again, I'm sick and tired of all of these Arsenal fans who are taking a look at our 2 wins this season and saying, we're well on our way, and once again, nobody can catch us, because we just never learn our lesson. It's always going to be a marathon. It's never going to be a sprint. And the most important thing is that there are some opportunities where you get to work on some of these shortcomings, if they are there, and try and improve on them if you can. And if you're able to improve, then it's all the better. It really is. But obviously, I didn't quite get to see the game in its entirety. I didn't get to see the game at all, really, because I was actually focusing on Arsenal's win over Aston Villa. And I think at the same time, it was I don't quite remember who had the key slot for the game week that day, but I knew that Spurs would put Everton to the sword. I predicted a 3-1, and the fact that Everton couldn't even get anything out of the game, I really fear for Sean Dyche. And it's also a reminder that when you get things clicking, you do look good. But there probably will be some issues as well when it comes to, defensive ability. And I think the way Romero and the other central defender who was playing, I don't quite remember who it was, maybe Van de Ven. The way they pretty much, ignored Jamie Vardy and allowed him to creep up behind them and score that header. I know that, over the last season, many people were singing Romero's praises and saying that he'd become a far more consistent defender of late. But, since he's still capable of some of these occasional mistakes. Just give me a minute, yeah?
Yeah, no problem. Okay. Guys, there are 11 of you in the chat, right? Please put in some comments if you like what you're watching. And of course, don't forget, please subscribe to Spurs Vision TV and of course Hasper TV.
Can I go off on what Manny's saying? He mentioned about Romero and Van de Ven and that Vardy goal. So for me, it just shows we lack defensive structure, defensive organization, planning and organizing defensive transitions, because one long ball when they're in. I just don't think they go on the training ground. They practice how to react in defensive situations.
But we've been seeing that the whole last season. You get what I'm saying?
So nothing's changed then, has it? Really? Then
nothing has changed. The only thing is that being a Spurs fan now, right? We have to accept, right? Defense is not our priority. You get what I'm saying? So if defense is not our priority, right? How are we going to win things? That's my question. But it's still early in the season. Hopefully, Ange along the way will learn how to adapt. We are all hoping for that for Spurs, right? And of course, for the rest of the, fans like Kesha, who supports West Ham, Mani supports Arsenal, where we're going to play them in right after the international break, if I'm not mistaken. We're going to have the North London derby. That's going to be interesting, right? Because to tell the truth, right, the international break hasn't been kind to us. Players might go out and they will come back injured and all that. And of course, we got the Phil Coyce. Good day to you too.
Shall I tell you our fixtures? Because then you'll know. Newcastle away, Arsenal at home, Brentford at home, United away, Brighton away, and then West Ham at home.
Yeah, I know. That's our next 6 games.
Palace away, Villa at home.
That's the following one. But the thing is that if at this moment, the furthest I'll look at, right, will be the Newcastle game. Because after the Newcastle game that comes in the international break, like I've been saying, a lot of time the international break breaks Spurs. So it is what it is.
But also the transfer window closes on Friday, right? So
yeah, tomorrow for us. Yeah. Oh no, 2 more days, Thursday and Friday, 2 more days, and we'll come to the transfers later. We'll just go through the games first, right? All right, guys. The next game we'll go for. Let me see. Let's go to the West Ham game. All right, since Keshav's here, Keshav, being a West Ham fan, I'll let you go last. Okay, so we just get the toss between the three of us here. I'll go first to tell the truth. I did watch the Villa game a bit, and to tell the truth, it looked a bit. And of course, big up to Jose. Big up Jose. Good afternoon to you guys. To you too. Hope you're doing well. I think West Ham in the first game, you guys were still trying to gel, right? Because you got in quite a lot of new players, and Villa I think being at a different level, they took their chances, right? And I'm not going to say what they didn't do against later when we talk about the Arsenal game against Villa, but against Crystal Palace I didn't watch the game, but I wasn't expecting you guys to actually beat Crystal Palace 2-0. You understand? You know? Because Crystal Palace under glass now, right? I thought it would be a fight or something, or maybe even a Crystal Palace win. So kudos to you guys. You got your 3 points, you got your first win, right, on the board. Then I'll go to Harry. Harry, any thoughts on the 2 games of the West Ham games before I come to Manny? And last,
yeah, well, first of all, I think West Ham have actually done some really decent business this summer. I mean, the centre back we wanted last January, we linked with very heavily. Todibo is playing for West Ham now, and they signed some other decent players, and I think they'll probably do better than they did last year. I would just say the Villa game, I kind of expected Villa to win because I just think they're just a better team at the moment. And as for the Palace game, I think considering how good Palace were at the end of the last season, that's like a very good win for West Ham. Going there, winning 2-0 is like a very good result. And like I think they can make a massive push for Europe this year, West Ham.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And of course, the big up to Eva Man from Hong Kong. Good to see you too in the chat. And Jose, yes, I've reached 500. I've breached 500. Now I've dropped back down to 499 because I haven't been doing shows. Let's hopefully I start doing shows. I will be able to maintain and break that 500. Right. Of course, the 1,000 mark is the objective. Let's see how we can reach that. And Manny, your thoughts on the West Ham?
Yeah, so obviously I couldn't complete my thoughts on the Spurs game at Leicester. I'll just briefly finish that first. I think there are still some issues where you might have to work on, but look, again, it's keeping you humble and it's making sure that you realize that you have to stay focused and concentrated until the very end, and that is something that Postecoglou will once again hammer into his boys. I still think that you lot will do well this season. Made some decent signings, and it's tragic what's happened to Solanke, really, because I think he would have really kicked on this season, and for people to start sneering at him is utterly out of order. But anyway, now I'm over to the West Ham teams. I did actually see most of the West Ham Villa game because that was an evening kickoff. I was focusing a great deal on that. And both teams actually did look quite good. West Ham obviously were trying their best to make a few things happen, and even Villa also showed more than what they were capable of. I think there was a lot of controversy over the penalty that was dispatched by Paqueta after a foul in the box. Was that really a foul? There's always going to be that level of controversy, and once again, the issue of controversial refereeing decisions rears its ugly head. And it was just a shame that it had to happen that way. But I was really impressed with Villa as well, because like West Ham, Villa have also made some really good signings over the summer. They've managed to solve their PSR problems to an extent by getting rid of Douglas Luiz and Moussa Diaby. Getting Amadou Onana, I should say, from Everton has proved to be quite good because he definitely looks muscular. And Morgan Rogers from Middlesbrough, who was signed last season in January, has once again proven that he is definitely a fine talent in the midfield. And as we might talk about when we come to my Arsenal team when we played them at Villa Park, Onana and Rogers actually made Rice and Partey look very ordinary indeed. And notwithstanding the fact that they suffered a defeat to us, I've seen quite a lot in both of these games to believe that Villa will go quite far. As far as West Ham are concerned, I also agree that once they start blending in under Lopetegui, the likes of Kilman and the other new signings, they will start to do quite well. And the Crystal Palace game, I was one of a very small number of people who predicted that West Ham would win, because Crystal Palace, for some reason, they look a little bit off right now this season under Glasner. Maybe that has something to do with Michael Elise leaving the club and not being adequately replaced. It just seems to be off, and It's sad, really, because I rate Glasner as a manager. Obviously, he has a great deal of European pedigree, having won the Europa League with Eintracht Frankfurt. And as an Arsenal fan, I'd take him over Arteta any day of the week. And I don't know, Eugene, if either you or Harry would have him over Mr. Postecoglou. I mean, that's a topic for another day.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't know if Crystal Palace have been able to really plug that gap, and there has been some talk about Palace taking Eddie and Nketiah, and there have been the usual Arteta sexuals, as I call them, who've been eager to say, Nketiah doesn't deserve any stick. He has been a very hard worker for us, and he deserves more credit than he's been getting. I say, get over yourselves. At the end of the day, he hasn't been good enough. Scored 4 goals in our FA Cup run in 2020, but that's really as good as it got for him. Never good enough or consistent enough for us. And Crystal Palace have some issues, but West Ham are starting to click, and the likes of Wan-Bissaka and others are proving to be pretty good acquisitions as well for West Ham, and we'll see how well they progress come this season. The football does look a little bit more appealing, easy on the eye. I'm sure Keshev might agree with that, maybe. But still early days, and, I'm not going to write any teams off, and I'm definitely not going to make the mistake of saying that, this team are going to, really do great things. But it's looking good for the Hammers, blowing bubbles again.
Yeah. And of course, good afternoon
Big up,
to you,
JJ.
and of course to Destiny 5 and Jemmy Gate. Big up, thanks for your support. Right, but what I think Mani says is very true about Crystal Palace. I think with all that interest in Eze, Olise, Guehi, and then if I'm not mistaken, they sold Anderson to Fulham.
Anderson, he's gone to Fulham. He's gone back.
Yeah, he's gone off to Fulham. You see, so I guess that has rocked the shaken the Glasner's plans.
I think
and all
unsettled that his probably his best side in his eyes, and that makes sense because he probably thought he'll have Olise, Eze, and Mateta as his front line, and obviously Anderson at the back. And because there's 2 key areas really that he's lost. Obviously, one of his wingers, which was like prolific, and his centre half is quite a big thing, I guess. So I don't know. Are Palace going to sign any more players before the deadline to rectify it at all? Or
that I think they're going to sign an Eddie and Nketiah. If I'm not, there's a rumor out there.
He's going Palace now. I think it's done.
Yes.
It's done. I think actually it's done. Can you imagine if Nketiah score like 30 goals? Like he did with
I can tell you right now that won't happen, Harry. Wind your neck in. It's not going to happen.
But look, don't get me wrong, Manny. I think he's awful. But look what he did with Mateta, who everyone thought was useless. Mateta got like what 10 goals since Glasner joined.
I think he came back. Yeah.
Well, it just goes to show really that there are other managers who are able to, make silk purses out of Sal's ears even better than Arteta can. I mean, just take a look at Emile Smith-Rowe. Everybody thought that he was washed up at Arsenal. Although it's early days, he goes to Fulham and ends up scoring, playing some more minutes, and he could end up really resurrecting his career big time. And I say good luck to him for that, and I really hope he does well. But Nketiah really has to start, working harder and proving that he really is all that. And I don't think he will be able to do so, to be honest. But we'll see how he progresses. It says a lot that Watkins, who's a similar striker to him in terms of, development or whatever, has been able to make the England squad, and he hasn't even progressed in that regard. So he's got a long way to go in many ways. But Palace do have some problems. But West Ham, and we're talking about them, they are starting to look a little bit good, and hopefully, they can make the most of this start and really do themselves justice this season. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. And I'll get to Keshav, right? Keshav, the whole of last season was Moyes out, right? And I've not seen it for about 6 months. And now he's got Lopetegui, and look at him smile. He hasn't smiled like that in a long time.
Yep.
Right? Okay. Give us your thoughts. I mean, this is your team, right? Let it rip.
Well, to be honest, I'm pleased that Moyes is gone. I think that the dust has settled. Um, I think it was the right time for him to leave, because you see, there's a lot of controversy on his departure and what fans thought. I mean, now, um, I always say I thank him for what he's done, but I think with the results that happened last season, and don't get me wrong, the beginning of last season was great, and then after that, the results after, if I wasn't mistaken, after that Arsenal game where we won 2-0, the board was looking to offer him a new deal, and then Moyes decided to pause on that new deal, and that's when things started to go a bit haywire, and results didn't go our way, and that's when the slip started to happen. So in that sense, results in terms of heavy results, final against Fulham, we lost to Arsenal 6-0. We lost to Liverpool in the was it, I think, Carabao Cup, if I'm not mistaken, 5-1. We lost to Man City, Man United or Man City heavily, I forgot. So we got some big defeats last season, and we've conceded the most goals last season. This was two big things I noticed. I think we conceded 71 or 72 goals, which was quite bad. So in that sense, he had to go. It's not that I don't. I know he will look from the stats point of view. He has been one of the best managers in terms of trophy wise in recent times. Yes, in terms of stats wise, yes, I do agree. But the style of play when he came in, I was accepting to it. But now I think I started to get a bit bored of it in terms of, because of the players we brought in. We want a bit more of attractive style, and I think fans would agree with that. Most West Ham fans would agree with that. That times have to change, and Moyes has to go. And I think it's good that he went. I mean, I agree to respect him, but he had to go. So in that sense, Lopetegui has come in, and to be honest, before Lopetegui came in, we looked at Ruben Amorim. I think there were a lot of rumors him flying to London. Fabrizio Romano reported it. I don't know. There's a lot of rumors came in, which I was getting a bit excited. Then after that, it started to uh, the rumors started to. I mean, everything started to go okay. Why he wasn't coming? Actually, to be honest, I knew once Ruben Amorim was linked, I knew we weren't going to get him. I knew he would. As much as the pull of West Ham was there, I think I also felt he wouldn't want to come because there was a major rebuild that was going to take place. But anyways, to be honest, the board are very particular when it comes to managers. They don't like to go and pay compensation for managers, so they like to go on the free agent route, and that's why we went for Lopetegui. And I can understand why we chose Lopetegui. There's a few reasons, and I think the number one thing is because from what I've looked at, he's, of course, I know he's won a Europa League with Sevilla. We played against him in the Europa League. He has his type of football is not his type of football is very good. It's very attractive at the same time. He plays more attacking to what Moyes is more pragmatic, and he likes to use his fullbacks inverted. Like, I think if I'm not mistaken, when he was at Sevilla, he used to play Navas and Acuna inverted, or also out wide. Loves to put crosses into the box for El Nasseri to hit in, because I remember we played against them in Europa League. He used to play them. He used to have good players in that Sevilla side, which made them actually good, compete in the top 4 or 5. So that was key attributes to what Lopetegui and his Sevilla side did, which also made them on the Europa League. So that, I think, made West Ham want to appoint him. So I was also a bit like, okay, now I was accepting to it. So I wanted to see who we brought in. And I was also interested to see what our director of football, I mean, Steiden, wanted to do, because he didn't have much control in terms of transfers, because last season Moyes had full control and we didn't have that impact of, because Moyes wanted to bring in Maguire and McTominay, and he had full say on transfers. So in this window, we tried to do something different where he had more say on transfers. And in this case, I'm very pleased actually, because what I've seen is actually a complete shift in terms of, because what last season is normally West Ham would sign players end of the window, or we would be in a panic buy mode where we would sign a striker late in the window, or we would sign put a 30 million pound bid for I don't know who. We would do something which is unordinary, or we would basically target an old midfielder or old centre back or old striker, which is very typical of West Ham. But in this window, I'm actually very impressed, because we've gone and brought in an 18-year Brazilian winger from Palmeiras. From I think that was brought in by Tim Steiden. We brought in what's his name? We brought in Max Kilman from Wolves. Okay, that was Lopetegui's number one.
Keshav, that's one player that was apparently on Spurs' list.
Kilman.
We've seen Kilman. We've been linked with him for a long time. For you guys to get him, that annoyed a lot of Spurs fans. Just saying, not me, but I'm saying I know a lot of Spurs fans liked him for a long time.
To be honest, 40 million is quite big chunk, to be honest, because
he's English, isn't he? Though, is that why?
English, Kilman, he's English.
That's probably why.
But I was pleased with that signing, because our centre backs are not good, and Kurt Zuma is leaving, and Agad is also going to leave. We need to get a proper centre back, so that was a good signing. We brought in Somerville from Leeds, fantastic signing as well, proper winger to replace Benrahma. And then we brought in a proper striker, Niklas Fulkrug from Dortmund. Okay, I know he's 31 or 32, but he's a championship a finalist. He needs a bit of time, I know, but if you get him,
Fulkrug is quality.
And I hope with Lopetegui's man management, he can get him into the right areas and let him score. And then we brought in Wan Bissaka, excellent signing. We need to also cover the right back, which we sorted out. And we brought in Rodriguez, a free agent, to cover the defensive midfield area which we need. I think he's a World Cup winner, if I'm not mistaken, for Argentina. So he was eyed by, I think, Xavi from Barcelona, but I think Xavi left Barcelona, so we actually pounced on the deal and we got him in. So it's quite a coup for us. So to be honest, overall, I'm very pleased, because I know it's quite a lot of signings, but I'm very pleased because how we acted and how we able to get the signings over the lines I'm very impressed with, because normally West Ham are not able to do this. We'll be very panicky. We'll take so long on these type of deals, which I'm very impressed we were able to get these things.
We talk about the games first. The transfers we'll talk about later, because the transfers we have a lot of things to talk about.
Okay, I'll start with the Villa game.
But before you start, I just want to say a big up to Peter, right, from Melbourne, if I'm not mistaken. Mr. K, long time no see. Hope you're well. And of course, Swifties in the chats too. Big up to all you guys, right? And yeah, the games. Let's talk about games. Then the transfers will be a bit long, debate on the transfers. Yeah, go ahead with the West Ham game and of course the Palace.
The Villa game. I thought it was a good battle between two sides. I expected Villa to win because I watched the game and I noticed we needed to gel a bit. And I to be honest, I expected us to fall short in terms of the midfield, because you have Onana there, Tillemans, very good midfielders, and considering we didn't have Alvarez playing in that midfield, also was a bit of a struggle for us. We had Suchek playing there, and of course I know we had Paqueta playing there, and also Rodriguez playing there. Of course, Paqueta helped a bit, but the physical battle was not enough. But I thought I was impressed in terms of our ability to not defend a lot. We were a bit braver in terms of going forward, which is what I was impressed with. At least I could see some signs. Okay, we were pushing forward. We were being a bit more brave in terms of making the passes to Kudos getting the ball, Paqueta doing the crossing, Bowen didn't have much time on the ball because of Digne pushing him towards the side. But I think we needed to gel in that first game, so I was okay with us losing. And to be honest, that game was difficult because Aston Villa are very good and they've gotten used to Emery. And I knew that they're very good tactically in terms of how they're able to set up. So in that way, it was a bit difficult. So, and I said this to my brother. I
Need a
said,
haircut, Mark. Don't worry. Yeah.
I told this to my brother. I said, we're linked to John Duran from Aston Villa because West Ham were linked to John Duran, and he was I think he was on Instagram and saying that he did the crossed hammer sign. Okay, that means he was actually looking to go to West Ham. Okay, and I told my brother, I said, it'll be typical for Duran to score a goal, and he ended up scoring against us. So yes, then the moment Duran scored the goal, I was like, okay, typical. Of course, he always this type of strikers loves to score against us. Callum Wilson, uh, I can name so many lah, but typical always in the first day, it always happens. But anyways, he ends up scoring lah. So I was like, okay lah, has to be always the first game. But yeah, anyway, okay. Anyways, second game I thought we played much better. Crystal Palace they had a lot of chances, but they didn't take their chances.
Yeah, but let's say like what Carl G is saying here. Big up to Carl G, right? Big up. Thanks for being here. Right? He said like if Palace going to finish, then West Ham would be the end of a bad defeat. It was the same thing like Spurs could have finished in the first round, right? Leicester would be the end of a bad defeat, but it's still the first 2 games of the season. So
Eugene, do you think that was due to because obviously maybe we'll talk about it later on, but obviously Son played the second game up front and Solanke played the first game up front.
Later we'll have a comparison to that. Yeah. But
the
Palace game, were you surprised that Palace that you were able to get the win and a clean sheet?
Yeah, in that way, I was surprised, Eugene, because West Ham have conceded too many goals last season, and I thought I was expecting us to concede. But to be honest, I was very impressed when I watched last week's match because Kilman was very impressive. I have to say, in terms of the second goal for Bowen to score, the way he maneuvered and was able to sprint, basically run with the ball was impressive. Like he was able to find the pass for Bowen. That was very good. And I think in his early days as a player, he was able. Kilman was actually able to do that. I think so. It was very impressive from him, and I was very impressed that our defense looked very solid in terms of. Okay, maybe when we had Kufal in the first half, I noticed when we had Kufal in the first half, we seemed a bit slow in terms of transitioning the ball to the forwards. Well, when we had Bisaka, it looked much quicker. Because Bisaka is a quicker player than Kufal, and Bisaka did the assist for Bowen to basically allow Souček to score the first goal, which basically allowed us to move forward better, which helped us, which I was very pleased with. So I think hopefully when we play Man City next week, again, I'm not expecting so much from that game, but I'm hoping for something. Okay, I'm praying for
you guys are playing
home, but I'm praying that we are getting something. Okay, I'm praying. Okay, I'm not expecting anything, but I'm hoping for 5 at the back. Okay, I don't know what he's going to do. Moyes ball. I think hopefully. Okay, but because don't get me wrong, I hope this time we can. I don't care about the score, but I want us to attack. At least have a goal. This time I don't care about the score. Just have a goal, and I want us to be a bit more braver because at least Man City have always been it's very tiring to see them win. So I'm also getting tired of them winning every title, and it's also I want them to at least lose a game. At least once, at least a team like West Ham to win would be great. But I don't know whether that's also gonna happen or not. So
okay. Mr. K is a West Ham fan and he's not a Spurs fan.
How are you good, Mr. K? I saw that guy last time I saw him was like 3-4 years ago, actually, at the protest. And then I met him.
3 years or 4 years ago at the protest, right? Yeah, I don't see the point of trying to play low block. It's free hit and go. Yeah, but what Keshav, you're saying is right. To tell the truth, later we go and talk about the transfers. To tell the truth, we being Spurs person, me and Haas here, just sitting down here, and then you are doing really good business. But before we go to the transfers, right, we'll have to go and do one more set of games, which is, of course, these 2 games, right? Right, and of course, Mani, you will go last on this. I will let Keshav go first.
Okay.
Arsenal beating Wolves 2-0. Arsenal beating Villa 2-0, 2 clean sheets in a row.
Well, I think Arsenal's business this season has been bit impressed. I think they've really built on the transfer business. I think compared to last season, they've actually beefed up their backline. To be honest, by bringing what's the name, Caliafori. Now they've really got some steady centre backs in there. Gabriel, Caliafori, um, uh, what's his name, Kibio, and I forgot the others.
They got Timber.
Saliba. They've really got some good centre backs. I mean, proper centre backs in there. And they brought in Marino. I think yesterday they announced. I think so. They've got and then a proper midfield: Rice, Odegaard, Marino. I mean, I can name so many, but now the thing is whether Arsenal can push for the title, which I'm gonna say Sally no. Well, we'll see. Okay,
but your thoughts on the 2 games, right? The Wolves game.
Okay,
did you watch?
I didn't watch the Wolves game, but I caught up with the highlights. I think for both games. I think what I can comment is I think the problem is I think teams find it very difficult to target Saka, because I noticed in a lot of games that Saka likes to cut in a lot, but especially I saw I noticed the left back. I think the Wolves left back struggled a lot with targeting Saka. Nori, I think he, especially for that goals, Arsenal's goal, the left back struggle, and I think it's going to be a common theme throughout the season. I think with Arsenal's wingers Martinelli and Saka. So, and I think with I think Arsenal's goals, I think they have this similar type of pattern where they cut in and score. So I think, and especially the Villa game, I was very impressed Arsenal won, because I thought Villa should be able to combat. I think the first half I saw, they were able to. I think Villa played very well in the first half, I thought. Well, then I think I didn't watch the second half, but the highlights, if I'm not mistaken, Arsenal took their chances, I think. So from that, I think, from what I can comment, I think the Villa game I was very shocked with. I thought it would be a draw, to be honest, but very impressive Arsenal. The good thing I think saying about Arsenal is they are with these type of players. They're good at grinding out these type of results. So especially Villa, who are now, I think, I'll consider it top 6, top 7. They're good at getting this type of results. So I think they should continue this pattern throughout the season. I don't know who they're playing next, but let's see. But I hope they, let's see how they do. But yeah, I got nothing. I got nothing much to comment on, because I don't. I've not seen so much of Arsenal, but the signings have been good. That's what I would say. The signings have been good.
Yeah, Keshav, I'll tell you right now that we've got a top of the table clash against Brighton and Hove Albion. Danny Welbeck,
that's going to be tough.
Coming back to the Emirates, of course. Hopefully he won't score against us, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. And Has, your thoughts?
Oh yeah, so I don't know if you guys know, but I have close friends who support Arsenal, so I do have a lot of information about. So the Wolves game, I think Havertz scored, and it's kind of a game I expect Arsenal to win at the Emirates against a team like that. They should be winning comfortably, so they did their job. But I did watch the Villa Arsenal game, the whole game pretty much. I felt the first half Villa did have chances to win the game. Really, obviously Watkins missed that massive chance. And I think Raya is 100% the man of the match for me in that match. I thought he was incredible. Some of the saves he made were just unbelievable. And I think wasn't for him, Arsenal probably wouldn't have won the game. But also, I think people need to start talking about Trossard like a lot more, because this guy he's so clutch for Arsenal. Whenever I watch him play, he scores so many important goals. He doesn't need to play as much as he should, I think. And I think if it wasn't for Trossard, maybe Arsenal wouldn't have been as close last season as they were. And probably this season, because I don't think they'll win the title. Even now, I can say that. Unless they go out and sign like a top striker, I don't think they're going to catch City. But it's obvious they're going to be like the second best team in the league this season again, at least. If they go out and sign a striker in the next 3 days, like a top striker, then maybe I'll revise my prediction. But they're just proving. But what I will say, though, with this game is they're 3 points up from last season because they went to Villa Park and lost last year. So it can only be positive in that respect.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. And as for me, is that I think I did watch a bit of both games. I think I watched the Villa game more, right? As I've been seeing, I think Arsenal has not even gone out of second gear yet, and they're still beating teams 2-0. I'm not saying they're beating the teams easily, right? For the Wolves game, maybe a bit more comfortable because like what Kesha was saying, right? Nori couldn't actually control Saka, and the quality of Saka is above Nori, right? And of course, like what has been saying, and all they need is a clutch player to come in and turn it around, like what Trossard did, when it was 0-0 and they were like trying to push and all that. But in the Villa game, I would say they had a bit of touch of luck and a bit of, I don't know, maybe a bad mojo that Watkins has at the moment, because there were two chances. One was the pass through, and then Raya was actually on the other side of the post and he just put it wide, right? And I think that was in the first half. And then the second one was the cross deflected, the bounce off the bar, and someone just hit it just straight at Raya. And it is what it is. And maybe Raya looks like a very good addition at the moment. And of course, talking about the transfers later, I tell you, Arsenal are building up a real challenge for the title. That's all I can say, right? And we'll get to Mani now, right? Because Mani will have to say on these two games.
Yeah, so the Wolves game, I mean, nice segue there, first of all, Eugene. We supposedly haven't gotten out of second gear yet, and that's going to be one excuse for us if we struggle against City, who we will be playing. I believe it's our 5th Premiership game of the season, and we also have to take another trip to your neck of the woods once again to come up against Big Angela's boys. And I want to say, first of all, to both of you, I am really sorry for the disgusting chants that were aimed at you during that game, especially the chants about Ange Postecoglou's weight. They were sickeningly out of order. And I'll come back to this, but I will say that our fans are going to be why we end up winning nothing. As far as the Wolves game is concerned, Wolves, obviously, of course, were the team which let Kilman go to West Ham and Neto go to Chelsea, and they haven't adequately replaced them. Also, not having Semedo in their back line is a bit of a problem because the ex-Tottenham defender Matt Doherty has had to start at right back. They haven't really been able to, bridge that gap effectively, and as we've seen from Wolves' first 2 games, the 2-0 loss to us and then the shellacking they received at Molineux when Neto brought his boys back there and gave them an absolute hiding. Nodi really put them mad in Madueke, and he really went mad. Wolves are set to struggle this season, and as much as I really do like Gary O'Neill, as does our mutual friend Craig Beasley from Up the Cherries and All Departments, I do believe that he could be one of those managers in line for the sack at the beginning of very, very quickly in this season. And nice note there from Chris. So this was a game, really, the first one where we were supposed to, do a lot more and really look to put Wolves to the sword. And although Kai Havertz did score with a header, he also missed some really ugly sitters in that game and looked quite poor. Saka also did quite well. But this was a game where normally you'd expect us to do quite well in the first half and then really take the game to them in the second. And the fact that we only scored 1 goal with Saka cutting in and scoring, I think the goalkeeping from Wolves was a little bit shabby. Jose Sarr putting himself in no man's land, really, for that stupid header and not being able to, cover his side of the goal when Saka took that shot. The defending also of Wolves was not really that good. But in the midfield, they actually made Partey and Rice look very ordinary. And coming to the Aston Villa game, first of all, I also want to big up Harry for being on the Monday stream with me on Norris Talks Football, where I had to deal with a couple of absolute idiots who were trying to troll me, because both of these trolls, also Arsenal fans, who I know very well, also know about my admiration for a certain ex-Arsenal goalkeeper who is now at Aston Villa. Now, this was also a game where it could very easily have been, as Harry said, an Aston Villa win. And I think more than Emi Martinez, Ollie Watkins will look back on this game and say, you know what, he had an absolute shocker. And it wouldn't. And if Emery has any, strength about him. He will drop Watkins, give him a rest a little bit. There's a part of me that thinks that after the Euros, he looks a little bit knackered and doesn't really have the seriousness about his game right now. So he needs to be given a little bit of humble pie, in my opinion. And, with Duran supposedly staying now, then it will only be good if Duran gets to play. I also do believe that Villa have not quite been able yet to bridge the loss of Moussa Diaby, because when he was in the team along with Leon Bailey, they were bringing out the best in one another. They would start and come off the bench pretty much in alternate games almost, but they literally worked their magic together, and they really were the cornerstone of Villa's success. As well as good as a player Douglas Luiz was, when Villa came to the Emirates Stadium and beat us, he wasn't in the team, and Emery still found a way to put up a masterclass and muck up our title challenge, and that really, made the Arsenal fans who were abusing him and Emi Martinez cry like babies. But again, there were several times in that game where we also looked very ordinary, and Amadou Onana and Morgan Rogers, literally, as I said earlier, were making Thomas Partey and Declan Rice look very ordinary indeed. They were muscling our defenders off the ball in many cases. Even Gabriel was muscled off, and it led to the Watkins chance, for which he should have used his left foot and not his right. Otherwise, if he'd used his left foot, we would have been 1-0 down. And clearly, Watkins's right foot was his wrong foot that moment. And as for Raya, well, look, that save from the Watkins header was outstanding. It's not going to be as good as David Seaman's save from Pescasolido in the 2003 FA Cup semi-final, but it was a good save, obviously. But the header was, directed at him really. And as a goalkeeper, you got to make sure you stick your hand out and do that bit. And I think Watkins also will look back on that and say he should really have tried to do better with the ball, because once the ball hit the crossbar, Raya was literally scrambling. And we still have some idiots now saying Raya's better than Emi Martinez, and all of these Arsenal trolls are at it again and saying that Arsenal are, head and shoulders above everyone. There's no one better than us. Bow down to us. Behave yourselves, you nincompoops. It's the beginning of the season. Last season, Villa were ripped to shreds at St. James's Park, but a certain Sir Alex Ferguson, after the game, spoke about how impressed he was by the way Villa played despite the loss. Yes, they conceded some bad goals, but they looked good. And Villa also did look really good. They always look good on the counter-attack. With Onana and Rogers doing well, they look really
Rogers
strong
looks
in the
like a
midfield.
real gem, Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, and that, dear friends, is talent ID. To take a player from the relative obscurity of Middlesbrough and bring him into Aston Villa because you rate him very
He
well.
was there last season as well. I don't know if people noticed him last season, but I remember watching him a few games. So I think he started playing near the end of the season.
Exactly. I'm coming to that. I'm coming there.
Sorry.
Emery plucked him from Middlesbrough in January, and I think he plucked him there based on Middlesbrough's outstanding performances in the League Cup, where Rodgers was a big part of that, and he brought Rodgers in, and after a few initial iffy performances, he settled in quite well. So obviously Villa are going to have to try to go back to the drawing board and see where they went wrong, and try and see how they can improve. It means them having to replace Watkins a bit. I also think Luca Digne should be given the rest, and Ian Maatsen should be coming on to start ahead of him. And maybe there should be a little bit of a defensive reshuffle. I also think that maybe Matthew Cash should be sweating on his place. And the players they've got in, obviously, during the summer window themselves, they've done much better work than we have. Yes, belatedly, we've managed to get Mikel Merino in, and I do think he will be good. Yes, he was a bench warmer for the Spanish team, but he also scored that brilliant golden goal against Germany to knock them out at the quarterfinal stage, because who knows if Spain would have gone on there. And that's a really interesting question there from Carl. The reason why I do believe that Villa will be able to withstand the Champions League challenge better than Newcastle is because Newcastle simply weren't able to effectively build on that momentum they gained effectively. And the season ban on Sandro Tonali didn't really help. It meant that his entire season was laid to waste. And it also affected Newcastle in many ways, never mind the fact that they also suffered plenty of injuries. And the biggest issue that I have with Aston Villa right now is They have to make sure that they improve their own stamina and improve their own concentration. And defensively, they still have quite a few issues. And both of the goals that they conceded from us were the result of some very scrappy defending indeed. Yes, Emi Martinez should have done better for Thomas Partey's shot, but for all of these Arsenal trolls to, abuse him and say that he is nowhere near as good as David Raya, wind your necks and behave yourselves. Two-time Copa America champion, World Cup winner, and contrary to what a lot of low IQ, bitter Arteta sexuals will think, winning silverware in that way does make you a quality player. Ray isn't even good enough to be Spain's number one. And if I could just see that question that Carl posted, please, Eugene, before it went off. I spoke about that. I spoke about that, obviously, but there was something else that he posted.
For the back, first games are difficult.
Yeah.
Results,
yeah, and the result may be the main thing, but also more important than the result is how you're able to improve. And the worst part about Arsenal winning is that people are going to take a look at these games and say, we're going to get into our stride and nothing's going to stop us. But if we don't learn from our mistakes and especially improve our performances in the midfield, we could be rife for a very big shock. And I think the question was, does anyone think Arsenal will win the league this season? I think Harry said it perfectly. We're going to end up second or thereabouts. I actually predict that we might drop off and finish third a bit because, Liverpool also are starting to look good. All we can do now is try and back ourselves. And people are going to take a look at how we've managed to score goals in spite of not having a proper striker and say we don't need to have a quality striker when we're scoring these goals. Harry mentioned Leandro Trossard. I think we are going to see a lot more interplay between Trossard and Martinelli will be rested for some games. I have to credit Arteta as well for being brave to drop Zinchenko and replace him with Jurrien Timber, who looked good for the most part against Leon Bailey, but Bailey recovered from the ankle injury he suffered in the middle of the game and actually improved. I don't agree with you, Carl. I don't think Arsenal will beat City to the title because we just haven't done comparatively enough work in the transfer window as the other teams have had. We're still playing the same inverted tactics that could see us come a cropper against the bigger teams. And if we fail to get results against Spurs and City in our first few games this season, then many Arsenal fans like myself are predicting that we won't challenge for the title because I don't see Arteta being willing to improve from his mistakes. You know how they say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing again and again and expecting better results than the last time. That describes Arteta to a T. So,
Manny, we are Spurs fans, right? We have owners that are doing the same thing over and over again. We know.
Well, hopefully, under Postecoglou, you'll turn a corner because I do like Ange. I think he is a more than decent coach. And I think he will start to get the team to really start performing more consistently. But, defensively, you will need to improve your concentration, as I told you, against Leicester. You can't let a 37-year-old Jamie Vardy come into your box unmarked. I think both you and Haz will agree with that. But as far as Arsenal are concerned, we have to stay humble. And the reason why I appear downbeat, Carl, is because I've seen the same story repeat itself again and again and again. It's happened under Wenger.
You sound like
happening under Arteta.
You sound like Spurs fan as well. That's how we think. Yeah, that's how we think.
The thing is that, Manny feels the way that we feel, why? Because the only thing they won in the last 5 years is the FA Cup.
Yeah.
So that's.
Can't imagine if he was a Spurs fan.
Yeah, I was imagining he's a Spurs fan. Yeah.
But
Manny,
put this into perspective. You've won the League Cup more recently than we have.
But that was 16 years ago.
16 years ago.
And we won, and ours was 32 years ago.
And guys, imagine, right? The only person sitting here, right, has the most recent winning a cup, right? Is
he's not happy.
And he's not happy with Moyes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Honestly, I would take the Conference League any day of the week.
Yeah, we would have taken a cup, right? A real cup, not an Audi Cup or some Tiger Beer Cup or some, I don't know, some what world, the one we won in Korea recently.
Yeah, but I think what I want to. I will finish off by saying that we can be happy with some of the performances, but we also have to be honest in the praising everything and say that there are areas where we have to improve. And unless we stay humble and make sure that we look to improve, we're not going to get anywhere. The thing about several other teams in the Premier League, especially the likes of Aston Villa and Unai Emery, is that they will go back to the drawing board and they will improve. And you see a trend: whenever they lose, they work on their mistakes and they come back and win. And we, somewhat do the same thing. But again, there will be some moments in the big stages where we end up freezing and completely flopping, and then that just sums us up. We're a team which looks pretty and which has the ability to seduce some fans into thinking that we're all that. And then, when it comes to the crunch, we completely flop. I've seen this happen time and time again. And that's why I am supposedly downbeat.
And big up to Ingwa, right? Hope you're doing well in London. Let me know when you're coming back to Malaysia for your holidays, right? We have to meet up again. Right, guys? So the next topic, of course, we're coming up to will be about the transfers. Let me get it up. Yay. I'm being Spurs fan, right? The transfers, right? But before we go to that, right, let me come back to here. There are a few things I need to up. Okay, this is RK says that is VDV injured?
Well, apparently, Eugene, he wasn't in training videos. Yeah.
Oh, seriously, he wasn't in training videos. I don't know. Maybe
well,
that.
I don't know. I'm not there.
Remember, the thing is that when he stretched his knee in that tackle, in that challenge against the Everton player and all that.
Yeah.
In the slow motion, it
Eugene,
looked really
I was at the
horrible.
game. I don't know if you guys saw it. I don't know if you did watch long time where you saw it, but I noticed they gestured to drag us in.
Yeah, I know.
And then Van der Ven came back on, as in like he wanted to carry on. So I don't know whether he was in the gym apparently.
Yeah. But Kesha, you need to move, Kesha.
Yes.
Okay, take care, Kesha.
Okay.
We'll catch up again in about 6 games later, right? In about 6 weeks' time.
Okay.
Time when we meet up again, right? Against you guys. All right, take care, Kesha. Have a good night.
Take care. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Right. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Have a nice day. Yeah.
Thank you, Manny. Bye.
All right. So the VDV thing is gone off, and Kesha more or less has said his piece on the transfer earlier, right? And of course, before we go to the transfers, there's one more from Kumar, right? He says that what are the panel's thoughts on Chiesa?
Good signing.
Yeah, good signing for Liverpool. We will link to him as usual, and we don't get the good place.
But don't worry, Eugene. We've got Werner, who can't score. We've got Johnson, who won't score. We've got our wingers are so good that we don't need Chiesa. Don't worry, guys.
Yeah, don't worry about it. But no, the sad thing is that it only cost 13 million euros, guys.
It was worth a punt, honestly.
It was a peanut. You understand? I don't know what we're doing. Okay, let's get to the transfers, right? Manny, since you're the Arsenal guy here, right? Let's talk about your transfers first before we go to the Spurs one while we all rant like crazy.
The depressing,
Yeah, man, what's the point? Long time no see. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, how are you doing?
Looking stop owners like them, really not trying to win the league. And of course, good afternoon. Yeah.
Well, I did actually allude to the transfers earlier. I mean, obviously, getting in Calafiori was okay, but we still are stuck in a situation where we don't have a proper out-and-out left back, and it's still going to be the same, inverted stuff again. Not getting a striker is absolute sacrilege. We have let Edward Nketiah leave, and as far as Crystal Palace are concerned, in as much as I am grateful to them for taking him off our hands, I will also say that fools and their money are soon parted. And so Nketiah will have to start hitting the ground running and score goals for Crystal Palace. He gets a nice reunion with Rob Holding. So, all works out well for him. But where do we go from here? Do we? Huh? Yes, he went there last season. I don't think he played much because he was injured most of the time. But if he's recovered from, he's still with the squad, and Glasner does seem to have some sort of a role for him. So we'll see how things work out, and if he gets some games to play. And if he does do well, then good luck to old Rob. But and again, we're in a situation where we are still stuck with Havertz. Getting in Merino, as I said, will be a pretty good buy, and it will certainly add some competition to our midfield, especially when you consider that there is still some uncertainty about whether Thomas Partey will be staying at the club. Yes, he's started a few games, and yes, he's scored. But again, there have been moments where he hasn't really quite looked at his best, and even Declan Rice has also not been at his dominating best. And I think maybe in some cases, some of our players are having a bit of a Euros hangover. I mentioned Ollie Watkins, maybe Declan Rice is feeling that way. But look, it's one thing to improve the defence in the midfield, but if we don't have a proper striker, I'm simply, you talk about how you despise David Werner, Harry. I think you need to count your blessings because
Timo Werner, you mean?
Yeah, Werner. Yes, exactly.
Timo
And West Ham have Fulkrug, who outshone Havertz in the Euros. I take a look at both of your teams right now, and I say, you lucky so and so's. I'd give my left arm actually, to have one of you take Havertz off our hands. But I will also say, count your blessings. At least you do have some more potent goal scorers.
Manny, I'm going to disagree with you with that, because don't get me wrong, I was very critical of you guys signing Havertz, but I will make a couple points. He's proven me massively wrong. I think he has turned up with goals, and I'm not saying he's the most prolific player, by the way. I'm not saying that, but and I don't think he's going to win the title either. I think we need someone better up front, but he has done a job. He caused us a lot of problems last season when you beat us 3-2. He's come up with some big things. He's a target man. We don't really have that sort of player at Tottenham. At least I rate Havertz over like Richarlison, for example. I think he'll easily be on the bench.
Of course, Havertz is better. I mean, Richarlison.
Better than Werner, right? He's also better than Werner as well. Werner can't hit a barn door.
Werner. Oh, come on.
Yeah, but then the thing about Havertz, as well, as I also said in the Wolves game, is that he also misses some absolute sitters at times, and there were times at the beginning of last season when he looked really clumsy. I'm not about to, discount the work he did in the run into the season, and maybe I am willing to give Arteta some credit for finding out how best to use him. But it's also pertinent to note that under Thomas Tuchel he was also balling really well. So it isn't as if Arteta's actually reinvented the wheel. Chelsea, with the problems they had, sacking Tuchel and getting Graham Potter and getting Frank Lampard back to the club. Those were disasters that were waiting to happen. And obviously, at the way Chelsea was at the time, nobody really wanted to be involved with those shenanigans, really, and no player wanted to be a part of that. And so it was just as well that we got ourselves another Chelsea reject. But
Manny, you talk about this transfer window, right? You guys have signed Californi. You guys have signed Marino. What have we signed? We've signed youngsters for £40 million, £50 million. We paid £65 million for Dominic Solanke. But to tell you the truth, right, I'm not going to crap on Dominic Solanke yet, because last season, I think we were doing some shows and all that, right? We were actually saying Dominic Solanke would be a very good choice for Spurs.
He's not a bad signing. He's not a bad signing.
No, but the price that we're paying for him.
Unfortunately, Eugene, the price is not my issue. It's more the fact that what Ange will do, he'll pigeonhole Son on the left because he want to put him in as a club captain, and it will just ruin Son. I mean, Son can't play on the wing anymore. He's 17 goals. He's 17 goals last season in the middle, predominantly when he scored predominantly when he was playing up front.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying, but the thing is that what I saw on Saturday playing against Everton, right? Son was more or less playing from right to left. Sometimes you see him running
they gave
on
him
the left.
like he was playing up front, Eugene, but he was playing like a free roll.
I know he was playing up front, but sometimes
he drops. I know he drops in. I know
he drops back. He goes to the left. I think Son now is slowly trying to turn in something like.
He doesn't have any pace, really. That's why he doesn't have the same pace.
The pace is still there, but he can't.
Problem is, Eugene, what he's doing, I noticed that he would do it because he doesn't have the same stamina, and he's obviously 30.
Yes, that's the thing. He can't do it like what he used to do.
He does in short bursts. So he can't really play as a winger, really. I mean, he can't play as a winger anymore, Son, unless we're about.
You boys talk about pigeonholing. I mean, there was a point last season when we were, trying to pigeonhole Havertz.
I know.
Exactly. So we were trying to pigeonhole him in, and you
He
know, it
realised his
wasn't
best up
working.
front. Yeah.
Eventually, you know, it started to work a little bit, but even then, you know, even up front, as well as he was performing, we all have to accept that he's not the finished article. And there was a comment that Carl made saying that we don't need to bring in more new players. I disagree. You know, I'm not saying necessarily that 4 or 5 players
He
are the
meant tweaks, by the way, not tweets, but anyway.
Yeah, I know he meant tweaks.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm aware of that. I'm aware of that completely. I mean, sometimes, you know, if you're on an iPhone or an Android or whatever, and you're using autocorrect, it can really muck everything up. Whatever, if your spelling is slightly wrong. But looks, there are some signings that we would have needed to make, which would have made the difference. And when we end up with nothing, people will say that we never had that striker, that type of player, and we still did well. Imagine if we would have that type of player. Well, you had your chance to get that type of player, and you absolutely failed. And I know that we've got some people in the chat trying to, you know, big Arsenal up and saying that, you know, we are a club which has done some really good, responsible business. But I'm sorry, you know, our own failings have pretty much proven that we are nowhere near doing the type of business. We sold Emi Martinez for about 20 million and had people claiming that that was a financial masterstroke, but we ended up wasting 3 times that much on goalkeepers who weren't fit to lace his boots. And in the same way, we've got rid of Aubameyang for free, didn't get a single penny for him. And we ended up struggling with the likes of Edward Nketiah, Gabriel Jesus, and now Kai Havertz, who, even at their best, would never compare to Aubameyang at his time then. And I'm always going to believe that Arteta completely mismanaged Aubameyang and really destroyed his confidence and really turned him into an absolute shell and then sent him on his merry way. And that's why several fans would
let's see.
we
know that
forgive Arteta.
Arsenal, we know that Arsenal needs an actual striker, an out-and-out striker, right? Like Mr. K asked you here, right? Would you take Ivan Toney?
Yeah, would you take Ivan Toney?
I probably would.
Yeah.
I mean, any manager worth his salt would probably consider Ivan Toney and say, you know what, he's managed to prove himself somehow for what it's worth. Became an England international, certainly played some pivotal part in our Euros campaign. And, you know, maybe a strict manager will, you know, lower the boom on him, cut down on his illegal gambling activities or what have you. The ironic thing is, of course, you know, there's some talk about him moving to Saudi Arabia. He can't get involved with any of that nonsense over there. I would take Ivan Toney. I think a stronger manager would, you know, really set him back on the straight.
Won't be able to cope with him. Then,
exactly, that's the problem with Arteta. He doesn't like winners. He doesn't like people with ego, you know, big personalities who try to speak their mind. He wants to, you know, be this shepherd leading a group of sheep using a light bulb or what have you, and people fawn over him and saying what an amazing, insightful manager he is, getting, you know, people to getting some pickpockets to come and pick the pockets of players, saying you got to make sure that you are well prepared. I mean, you know, is he a manager or a school teacher? But enough about him. You know, we're going to have a situation where if we come up short, we're going to look back at a certain type of player and say we should have gotten him. And there's also been some talk of, I think we've got another goalkeeper as well. We got another goalkeeper, Juan Garcia. Like Ramsdale, another relegation specialist with Espanyol. And now Ramsdale is trying to get a loan move, but that can't be sorted because apparently we're charging far too much for him. We just don't seem to be able to get rid of the players that we want to get rid of. And, you know, people talk about our good business, but when you read between the lines, there's a lot of inefficiency, and we're practically no better than you are right now, and the way you're complaining about your own inefficiencies with the transfer market. So,
but Manny, you
done better than us, though.
No, you've got 2 players, right, who are adults. You get what I'm saying now? And how much have you paid? You get what I'm saying? How much have you paid? You know, we've bought. Okay, I'm not put Bergwall in it because Bergwall, we got him last season. He's coming in to join us now. Okay, we paid £40 million for Archie Gray. Imagine that, right? How much did you pay for Marino? 42 with add-ons, or 42 with the add-ons included, right? And Archie Gray could go up to £50 million if I'm not mistaken. Or was it 35 to 40 or something like that? And the thing is that who was the other player that we brought in, who is young? Odeberg.
We've got Odeberg.
19 years old.
The Korean guy.
Yang is coming in January, but he's about what, 18 million pounds or something like that.
Bergwall, he says already, was here. Gray, 40 million on Gray, which is a lot.
Okay, Dan, I'll see
Werner, of course, at the beginning of the season.
Yeah. So that is what I'm saying. The comparison of what we've paid and for the comparison of what you've paid and the quality of what you've got, for me, is that it's unbelievable. You know what I'm saying?
Eugene, with that money we spent on Odeberg and Gray, we could have signed Eze.
Yeah, we could have. But the thing is that Eze would have Crystal Palace sold Eze because after selling Olise.
And it does beg the question: what input has Ange had in some of these transfers? Is he really happy with everything? And
the problem is, Manny, is he comes out and says, I don't know if you watch the press conferences or see his quotes, and keeps saying, "No, I say yes to these players," basically. Or last season he came out and said,
"Harry, I can tell you, right, Harry, he has to come out and say that. You know why? Because after what Daniel Levy has gone through with Jose and Conte, right? I think that is written in his contract that you have to say all the players are bought by you, no matter what, whether you like it or not. You have to say that. You get what I'm saying? So I think he's being put in a difficult spot at the moment, and we saw it during the Leicester game where he put his head down when we were missing chances and after chances and after chances. Dan, I'll send you the link. Hop on when you're able, right? And the thing is that at this moment in time, the frustration is, to tell you the truth, I'm not frustrated. I'm so used to it, and you
just become numb to it. I've become like that now.
Yeah, I'm zen about it. I've been zen about it for the past 2 years, right? Okay, big up that. Right.
I know how zen you've been, Eugene. Definitely, believe you me. I remember our WhatsApp chats and everything.
Yeah, but the thing is, the point is, it's repeating itself over and over again. Mani, what were you saying earlier, right? Yeah, the insanity part thing you were saying, right? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. That's insanity. And we keep seeing it, And the worst part is that, like what Mr. K was saying, we spend something like 50B. No, okay. Mr. K is saying, I understand what he's saying. We spent, right, in this Ange tenure, 350 million pounds.
It's nuts.
And what? 350 million pounds, right? More or less, if I'm not mistaken, right? What have you seen any improvement in our squad? But what I've seen is that we are punting on the future. We're buying young players.
The problem is, Eugene, I go back to 2005 or 2004 under Santini was the beginning of this. So I remember we had an aging squad of like Jamie Redknapp, Maurizio Tirico, players like that who'd been there for like years and years through the 90s. And then what the club did is they said, look, we're going to refresh the team, which is understandable at the time because it was also at the beginning of Levy's tenure. I think we're 3-4 years in. And he said, what we're going to do, we're going to focus on the youth and build for the future, which was understandable. I mean, Spurs hadn't made in Europe for a long time in that time period, right? Until Joel came in, right? So what they did is they refreshed the squad with younger players, with some like experienced-ish players. Like we signed Naybet, do you remember Nuruddin Naybet? He came in for like a season or two. And so we had the odd experienced player there. Davies came in later on. But what they did, they refreshed the team completely with young players because they had such an aging squad. But this was 20 years ago. So at that time, I bought into this buy for the future because we're talking about the beginning of Levy's tenure and he was trying to refresh like an aging squad from the previous owners or previous managers, whatever. And Tirico, so I give Tirico an example. He'd been at Spurs for years, right? But back then you could understand it, doing this youth route. But we're 20 years in now with £1 billion stadium, this amazing training ground supposedly, and we're just doing the same thing we did 20 years ago. So
no, that's what I'm saying. It's insanity when you keep doing the same thing, right, and hoping for a different result. But the problem is that deep down inside, right, if you're really a Spurs fan, right, we know our owners are not going for the trophies, are not going for the league, right? But what we are going for, right, is the money of the top four, getting into the Champions League to buffer the coffers of their coffers, right? So the money, I'm not going to say all of the money, right? Maybe 50% of the money will be pumped into property projects. Simple as that. right? And a lot of people last season, right, at the end of the season, I was going on shows, I mean, in the chats, and I said, oh, don't worry, Spurs, there's a plan. We're going to do well in this coming summer transfer window. And now we're sitting back, right, 2 more days before the transfer window closed. What have we signed to improve the squad? The first 11. You say Dominic Solanke, okay, fair. We brought in a striker to replace the Pigeon and one of our legends that went off to, I mean, even Son said, I can't be considered a legend if I don't win anything at Spurs. You get what I'm saying? So, right, to be a legend, at least you bring back a cup, right? Then Son can say, oh, I'm a legend now because at least I've lifted the Carabao Cup or an FA Cup. I'm not even going to talk about the league because we are so far away from the league, right? It's ridiculous.
But usually, here's the thing. You consider the soon-to-be 5 years that we've had so far under Mikel Arteta. In all of the time that I've known you, you've been very consistent on one message: Levy out. And so you agree that bloke is the root of all of your problems.
Yeah, 100%.
I take a look at the administration of my club and say, you know, it isn't just Mikel Arteta. It's Edu, it's the Cronkies, it's a lot of other people at the top. Thankfully, a few people have since, parted ways with us, but we're still under Edu and company seeing the same stuff being given out again and again. And now there's talk about possibly, signing Arteta to a new deal. And if we don't win anything, it's going to be the same things again and again and again. The thing is, we crow so much and give so much chest about how we are so much, far advanced above you. And yet, to this day, we still sing songs about winning the league at White Hart Lane in 2004, the season we went unbeaten. That was more than 20 years ago. We're still latching on to past glories. We're still not showing any signs that we are capable of really taking things over the line. And, we just don't have the humility to accept that unless we, really improve ourselves and show that we are serious about improving the squad properly, we can't be considered a good quality team. And I will agree, with you when you say that when you spend so much money on younger players and trying to keep some really old players who are probably, whose best days are probably, long gone, you don't really have that kind of balance in the team. And, when you don't have that balance, you are going to get some up and down results. Yeah. But your problems, of course, are stemming from the men at the top, and ours we're also no different. And again, if we don't win anything, what's the guarantee that some of our best players are going to want to stay in the club where we don't win anything? Saka has a huge release clause. I wouldn't be surprised if he chooses to activate it if we fail to win anything this season. So,
what's
we also
are going. Money? How much is it? Do you know?
I think it might be in the region of something at least
90,
coming up to 100 million. Last I heard it was 100.
I didn't know about that.
120. Yeah. But there and let's not forget William Saliba is also very highly prized by clubs everywhere in Europe. What's the guarantee that he won't want to move on? So we're also not really in that much of a better position where we can crow. And that's why I say we still have to be a little bit humble. And, I am meant not to have anything but contempt for Spurs, but my brother-in-law happens to be a Tottenham fan. And I remember growing up liking both Spurs and Arsenal, Spurs for the quality of the attack and Arsenal for the quality of the defense, how the roles have changed in the way. But I never knew about the rivalry then. I was a little bit callow. And I was, for me, I was always international football over club football. But look, once you get rid of Daniel Levy, there should be some more people coming to, buy the club and really set the club in a different direction. If we can get rid of the Cronkies, if you can get rid of Levy, maybe we can start talking about better days ahead. Because there's nothing to suggest that we're not also seemingly just happy with the Champions League money ourselves. What seriousness are we showing in terms of trying to win silverware?
By buying players like Declan Rice for 100 million, and every player you're buying is improving your team, your first 11, not just your squad. The only reason Arsenal haven't won anything in the league is because you're playing against fucking Manchester City, for God's sake. That is the only reason. I despise Arsenal with a passion, but credit where credit is due. Yeah, okay, you should have won a cup by now or something. I'll go that one. Okay, he's already got an FA Cup. But you are buying players that improve your team.
And
Kroenke
I'm sorry to cut you in.
Kroenke
I'll
has made you. No,
I'll be brief, but he
Kroenke has
sent
made you
away some of those
better.
players.
Has Kroenke made you better?
In terms of winning trophies, no. And
has Kroenke made your team better? Is what I asked.
Well, I'm just going to say right now.
Don't beat about it. It's a yes or no question, mate. Have they made you better?
He has made us more consistent, but consistent doesn't necessarily mean better. And I'm also going to come right in and say that
has he made your team better? Has Arteta made your team better? Has he made your first 11 more consistent? Has he made it better? Yes,
he has made us more consistent. I will grant you that. But has he necessarily made us better? No. And the excuse of coming up against Manchester City is puerile because Liverpool beat them under Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah, and your point is, look at the Liverpool team they had up front, for God's sake. And that's once out of how many attempts? We are up against probably the greatest team the Premier League and England has ever seen. I honestly, mate, I get your point on what you're saying, but you're seriously, wind it in. You're complaining about nothing. Right, you need a cup. I get that. Arsenal have gone and Spurs have gone in total rotation. We was in your position 5 years, 6 years ago. You are now in a position where you can fight for the cups, win a cup. You're in a position where you can finish off 3 points lower than bloody Man City, for God's sake. You're in a position where you buy players like Declan Rice for 100 million and we go and buy Archie Gray for flipping 40 million. Yeah? Seriously, have a look at it. The Kroenkes pulled their finger out their ass, got their act together and got you up from a shambles of a club of like 8th place up to a 2nd place team. Arteta, like him or not, he has adapted to the Premier League. He has changed season after season. He's got better. He's learnt off one of the best. He has now made your team championship contenders. Has he not?
That's true. Yeah, contenders, yeah.
Right. And then what has Levy done with Spurs? Just screwed us over time and time again. And what does our manager do? Play suicide football. Okay, we got 5th place. Fair enough. But we still got nothing to show for it. We had a very good manager in Poch, got into the Champions League final. He done this and this for us. Still nothing to show for it. You're finishing 2nd place behind the best team on like possibly even the best team on the planet at the moment. What do you really expect apart from an FA Cup or a League Cup?
What do you mean, what do I really expect? And you say apart from a FA Cup or a League Cup, what exactly has been his record in the domestic cups and in Europe ever since joining us? It's been absolutely abysmal. He hasn't even
he's won you an FA Cup. We have 2 League Cups in 30 years.
With Emery's team. And he jettisoned the majority of those players not too long afterwards, trying to build a team in his own image, and has not come any closer to winning a domestic cup since. And it might also interest you to note that perhaps one of the reasons why, at least one of the factors why we've managed to challenge for the league, is because, you know, all we've been doing every season after season is giving all sorts of lip about how, you know, this is going to be our season. We're going to challenge for as many trophies as possible. And now that we're back in the Champions League, Europe should fear us.
Sounds similar to
bring me Real Madrid, as some of our fans would say. And then what exactly have we accomplished? Our record in Europe under Arteta has been absolutely abysmal.
Didn't you get to the semi-final or score?
Your record in Europe is abysmal anyway. Your record in Europe, this is why you will never sit on a table with the big boys and you have to sit on a humble table.
I completely agree. Dan, mate, please allow me to land and then you can cut right in. I'm sorry about that, mate. I'm going to say this right. I'm going to say I'm going to say right now that yes, he has helped us become a little bit more consistent in the league, and I am willing to give him at least some credit for that. But the thing which really angers me about Arteta is his tactical inflexibility. He always considers, you know, playing this ridiculous inverted style of football, which ends up coming a cropper against some of the bigger and better teams at the worst possible moment in time. And we see the same mistakes in tactics, in personnel, being made again and again and again. This is why I said sometime at the top of the street before you came in, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing again and again and again and expecting a better result than last time. And it's Arteta's refusal to look beyond that. The idea that you can actually play a central defender as a left back to sort of have that person cut into the midfield and leave that gap over there is still quite stupid. And although he made that change, bringing in Timber for Zinchenko, Timber is still very unproven, let's not forget. He had that injury which mucked him up last season, and we never got to see the best of him. And I am not about to, continue to sing his praises unless he win, unless we actually win something again, and we have to start proving that we have the bottle to take it over the line. And for that most part, Arteta has to take the blame. Now, I completely am sympathetic to where you lot are, and I say that Levy is the problem. And I also like what you said about how the Kroenkes have pulled their fingers out of their mouths and started to realize, you know what? Our US franchises are continuing to pick up silverware and bring home the bacon. What exactly have we got to show for our efforts? And this is another reason why I do not want to see any talk about Arteta signing a new long-term deal unless he can prove that he can get us over the line. Since winning that FA Cup, our record in the Cups has been absolutely abysmal, and he hasn't even bothered to address that.
Can I say something?
Let me finish. I'll let you come in, Harry. Mm-hmm. And he hasn't even bothered to address that. So, in as much as I do appreciate how people are willing to, give Arsenal Arteta our flowers, and I do agree that maybe in some cases we're justified. At the end of the day, ashes to ashes and dust to dust. The proof of the pudding is under the crust. We need to make sure that we actually make something happen this season, and that's all I'm going to say. Harry, come in.
Yeah, sorry. I want to make a massive point, and I think you're forgetting this. Arsenal had Wenger for 20 years, right? So
yes,
by default, they became stagnant. Yeah, and went backwards. Okay, of course, Emery came in for a year after that. Yeah, and they didn't let him really finish what he kind of was trying to do. Right? They went the Arteta route. So the Kroenkes or whoever it was, whether it was Edu or all of them, they did have a plan, right, to get to this point. Yeah, and maybe you are missing, like for me, you're missing a top striker. Yeah, and that for me that would probably win the title if I'm being honest.
Okay,
but you need to give credit to Arteta for doing this, partly because he was part of this. Also, he showed last season he was willing to adapt to certain games. He went to the Etihad and parked the bus, got a point, which at the time was probably massive, right? And I believe me, right? I was in your camp especially with Arteta for years, right? I thought this guy wasn't very good and all this, but I've seen him last season, the season before. You can't tell me he's not a top class manager, right? He's proven he's like a really, really good manager. He might become even one of the best, right? We don't know from now, right? But it's not Arteta's fault you haven't won the title, in my opinion. I think it's just you just lack that one or two players just to get you over the line. And I'm envious of Arsenal. At least I had a plan, and okay, they did go the youth route like before as part of it, but at least there's an end goal. Like with Tottenham, we just get to a point and then we just repeat the cycle over and over again.
And that's what I'm going to say.
There's an end goal. Like I can see there's an end goal.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing, Harry. I mean, obviously, we talk about how there is going to be an end goal. And the biggest thing over here is that while Emery was never given the respect or the backing that he deserved, Arteta has been. And his first two full seasons with us were absolutely diabolical, let me tell you. We were 15th at one point, relegation form. When you are given the backing and when you are given some support by the board and the board decide to trust you for all your warts and everything, you can't necessarily not improve. And somehow he stumbled onto a few things. And when you take a look at some of the players who have shone under him, the likes of William Saliba, that bloke was actually responsible for, banishing Saliba from the first team entirely and having some other, dross in his place. And eventually
No, mate. No. Let me stop you there, yeah? What he done was get a young player in and say, do you know what? He's not ready for the Premier League yet. I'm going to put him out to a big enough club that he's going to play him 24/7 every single game. I'm going to do that for 2 seasons, and he's going to come back to the Premiership with a lot more football experience, a lot more first team experience, and come back ready. Lo and behold, what did Saliba do? Exactly that. What does Spurs do? Go and buy people like Archie Gray, go and buy other young players and everything and that, and then sit them on the subs bench, or go and get people through our youth academy and that, and just leave them sitting there. At least Arteta had the bloody brain to send him out because he wasn't ready for the Premier League yet. And I can't believe I'm sitting here preaching on a fucking Arsenal thing and that about look, he's done things the right way. The only thing you got to do now is win something. That is the only thing that you can get grilled for. Apart from that,
and if we
he's done the job.
No, but if we don't win anything, then I'm sorry, he will not have done the job. And let me tell you something right now. This idea, again, the idea that you can actually bring your own club's operations by buying these younger players and then, not having that real balance in the team. You've got people on the extreme end of the experience sector. You've got people on the extreme end of the youth sector. There's not that much in between. And that is going to be a problem with Spurs this season. But then, sending him out on loan when we could actually have used him, and he did prove himself to be good enough. The fact that Arteta wasn't even willing to do that, and we were struggling in many ways. I mean, if that's the case, you want to make sure that you've got
what's going to improve
team
him then?
right.
So what's going to improve him then? Playing the odd game for Arsenal here and there, or playing 30 games in France for 2 seasons running? What's actually going to improve him?
The ironic thing, of course, Dan, is that people complain about the standard of Liga and say that it's not really a good league. You see the likes of Balogun and others doing well over there and say, it's not really that good. I mean, the fact that Saliba did well over there and has come back over here means that it's not so much about Arteta's decision to send him away. He always was good. It's just that, somehow it's transpired that he's come back over here and done really well. And now people are trying to rewrite history and say that Arteta deserves to be credited for, sending him away.
You've just totally jumped over the goalpost, mate, let alone put them apart. I asked you a straightforward question. What would have done better for Saliba or any player? Playing 1 or 2 games here and there in the Premiership, or go and put him out to another country, a big enough league, a big enough team as such, not massive, but big enough where he plays game in, game out.
But what was the guarantee that he wasn't going to play in more games than Arsenal, given the drafts that we had in the centre of the defence? For heaven's sake, we had the likes of Mustafi, Kolasinac, Pablo Mari, and others.
But again, listen, the question again.
Mate, do not presume to accuse me of dodging the question when you aren't even allowing me to.
You've dodged the question. I'm not accusing you.
No. Yes, you are telling me. You are accusing me, and I'm going to tell you right. No, mate, let me land. All right. When you consider the fact that we're some of the drops that we had in the team, when you consider some of the drops that we had in the team at the particular time, there is no guarantee that Saliba wouldn't have gotten any games to play. And I really don't like this idea of buying players when they're really young and then loaning them away. But it seems to be the practice with clubs these days. But there would have been times in those first 2 full seasons when we could have done with him, especially when we also had to deal with the likes of Rob Holding. So it wouldn't have been a bad idea to give him, some chances to prove himself.
So do you think he would have started more than half your games?
Oh, absolutely. Ahead of Kolasinac. Ahead of Kolasinac, who wasn't quality, ahead of Mustafi, who clearly, wasn't up to the mark. And I really rated him. I was excited when we brought him, and that proved to be an absolute dud. Ahead of someone like a Rob Holding, who did well for us in a few FA Cup finals, but since the knee injury wasn't really, coming up to scratch. And now I'm going to say this right now to end this debate and have the last word on the Saliba issue. Saliba's success with Arsenal has been in spite of Arteta's decision to send him on loan, not because of that decision. And I'm not about to have people trying to. And I'm not about to have people.
It was part of a plan. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. It was part of a plan. He brought these young players in, and they thought, go and send them out on loan for a year to get experience and bring them back when they're ready. We did that with Cole Walker back in the day.
We all can understand, right, what Arsenal has done, right? And they have a plan. And they're
That's what I'm trying to say.
plan.
They have a plan. We don't have a
plan. But anyway, gentlemen, sorry, Eugene, let me just cut in. I mean, I am going to have to leave right now because I've got some stuff to do. Let me have the last word on this because this is actually a Spurs stream, by the way. I'm going to say that. I'm going to say this right now. I think the problem with Spurs, as all of you can agree, is not with the manager or even with the players. It's with the people at the top. And as you say, there is no real plan in sight. And yes, we do have a plan, but when you consider, our reputation and the expectations of the fans, if we don't have a plan, then we really can't go anywhere. The biggest issue that I have is that this season, if we end up winning nothing, it's going to be 5 consecutive years without a trophy. Even Arsene Wenger didn't have a drought this long, even at the worst of his times. And we're still having the same people. No, he didn't. I think. Obviously he didn't win the league again after 2004, but we kept winning FA Cups here and there. He has 7 FA Cups with us, the most by any manager, even more than Alex Ferguson.
He went through a 10-year drought. What are you talking about?
That's what I'm talking. That's what I said. They went for like a
No, but
10-year
listen,
tour.
no, I said I didn't say the league title. I said a trophy, and I said that even
Yeah,
Arsene
without
Wenger
a
You've won no
but-
trophies for 10 years. You're talking shit,
Yeah.
mate. Sorry.
No, hey, Mike.
That was Manny. It was an on-running joke. Remember, you guys lost the finals to Birmingham, and everyone was still joking about it. That Arsenal haven't won anything for X number of years. I even remember
Yeah,
that.
mate.
But then, listen, we kept winning.
Fella, when you're going to land, mate, you've got to land with the right facts.
Exactly.
You can't land and
No,
get
listen.
it wrong.
No, I am going to land right now, and I'm telling you right now, I'm not going to have you rewrite everything. I'm aware of everything that's happened.
I've got nothing
over
to
Arteta.
rewrite. You didn't win nothing for 10 years,
Hold
mate.
it.
That's not
Hold
rewriting.
it.
That's
Hold it.
fact.
No. Stop it. Stop it.
I think
We
you
have won our
need some more practice
we
for
have
landing.
we have won our share of FA Cups. I will accept.
You can't lie.
But we
We
haven't-
correct you, then you say stop it. That's not how it works, mate. You can't
I'm sorry,
lie. We
I'm
correct you,
yes,
then you
I-
don't admit it.
No, because you are accusing me of lying when you have
No, you
proof
did
of that.
lie.
No,
And
no,
you are
you-
simply going to
you're
come
telling
in
me
and
you
listen.
did.
Hold
You
it.
lied.
Hold it. Let
No,
me have the last
stop
word.
lying.
Let me land. I'm going to
Stop
leave.
lying,
I'm gonna
and then
leave.
I'll hold it.
I need to leave right now because I've got some stuff to do, and I'm going to end right now by saying this.
Mate.
Yes, we have a plan. Yes, we've got some things in place. Yes, we've got all this talk about how everything is beautiful and how everything is going to plan, but it's still very early days in this season, and this season will be Arteta's main judgment. If we do not win any single trophy this season, even a League Cup or an FA Cup, it will be a failure for everything that's gone through, everything that we've been through right now. And even under Arsene Wenger, I am telling you right now, we never really did have as long a trophy drought. And listen, gentlemen, I'm going to have to leave. I'm going to have to. I am going to have to leave. I'm going to have to leave. I'm going to have to leave. No, I'm not. And I'm not going to have. I'm not going. Don't you?
You can't argue it. You can't argue it.
I'm sorry. I am not going to let you slander.
It's all right,
Sorry,
mate.
you
We
lied.
accept your
Well, I'm just
apology.
saying-
We accept the apology. You just got something wrong.
Eugene, they went from 2004 until something like 2012 or 2014, 15. They didn't win anything. I remember Arsenal fans saying we had to suffer because after building our stadium, we had to keep selling our best players, which affected us not winning a trophy. They went for like a 10, 12-year trophy drought. Like,
It was a
for him to
9-year
say,
drought. I put the link in the chat. It's
like 9, 10, 12. To say
9 years
5
drought,
years is the
yeah.
worst. That is a lie. It's not true. I don't understand. And if you see, this
didn't land.
is what happens to me. This happens to me. I challenge what people say, and then I get death threats.
This all started.
Fucking
This all started from me saying that it went for a 9-year drought. That's all I
I
said.
don't know. Maybe he just needs to learn to land better because he didn't land, mate. The fella crashed. Bang.
I don't understand, man. I don't understand.
But even if you said sorry,
because
I
I
got
think
it wrong.
what-
It would have been fine.
I think
And
deep down, right?
by the way, what he was saying about Saliba
Yeah.
and Fofana were two brilliant centre backs at Saint Etienne. We wanted Saliba. The reason
I
Arsenal got him
remember
was
you chose Arsenal.
we
didn't you?
refused. Yeah, but the reason was we were in there first, but we refused to pay
loan him.
30 million and to loan him back.
Line him back. I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why they got him. And Arsenal felt his development was better suited to go on loan. And it worked. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. That was part of their plan. So
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to say. But yeah.
Listen, he's the kind of Arsenal fan that has really got it in for the manager, got it in for the club, and that's fine. That's fine, right? Because we're like that with Levy as well. But to say that Arsenal's in a great place right now, man. They're in a great place. Like if I was an Arsenal fan now, I would not be how I am with Spurs. No way. Their plan is coming together. I think Arsenal will win a trophy this year, whether it's
100. I think they will. They just need 1 or 2.
I think they
players
will.
with that.
I think they will.
Yeah, they have a very good chance. Yeah.
Now they've got Marino as well, man. They've got Timber back. They've signed Calafiori. They've got Marino in that midfield that gives them another option. They're in a good play. If they get an attacking
Striker.
wide player or a
Or a
striker,
striker, yeah.
I mean, I get it. If they don't win nothing, then yeah, it's a failure. But the way he was,
no, he's right.
complaining
If they don't win
about it-
anything, then he's right. He's right. If they don't win
Of course
anything,
he
he's
is.
right.
No, I was agreeing with that, but bloody hell, mate, talk about wind your neck in and calm down. I mean, asked him straight, has your
Guys,
club improved
the thing with-
significantly?
Guys, the thing with Manny is, right, I think he's also frustrated because all these times that, Arsenal's been going through, right, and they've not won anything. And the thing is that he's seeing it in a different point of view. I understand. I believe that the Conclaves are actually better owners than what Levy is, right? And the Conclaves have actually come out to say that, not everything is based on what you see, and they've given Arteta a chance to actually build, and they do have a plan. It's not like Earth being
You
Spurs,
think
right?
they're better? They are
Yeah.
They
better.
are, yeah, exactly.
They are better.
They are better. I know. We know they are better, but maybe
What the Cronkies have done in 5 years. Stan
Yeah.
Kroenke's been in charge for 6 years, like full ownership, like majority owner. What he's done in 6 years is win an FA Cup and rebuild the entire club from academy to recruitment to first team manager and put Arsenal now as regular title contenders. In 6 years, he's done that. What the
Yep.
fuck has Levy done in 25 years? It's not you think.
nothing.
You know they're better, Eugene.
Yeah, I know. We know
They're
they're better.
clearly better.
Yeah, I know.
By a
We
mile.
know that. Yeah. We know. We can't compare. You know. Come
We're
on.
25 years in. We're 25 years into Levy, and we're saying be patient.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
Sorry, man. I lose. When it comes to ownership, I lose the plot. It drives me mad.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I get it.
Anyway,
One thing they
hello
definitely
everyone. Hi. Everyone. Right.
You're all right.
Hey,
One
how are you
thing
doing, Stel?
they
Yeah.
definitely did
You were having
back their
peaches
manager.
just now? Yeah, I saw you eating peaches.
Oh mate, I just got another. I just got sent a sensational message. That's another one going to the police. These people are lunatics.
What, on WhatsApp or on X or
X. I've had 2
on
death
X?
threats today. Yeah, I had one this morning. I just got one about 5 minutes ago. It's wonderful.
What?
Yeah. Because apparently it's offensive to call Brennan Johnson Beetlejuice. It's really offensive. People are having their lives have changed because of me.
Yeah, but that's Dietrich's fault. That's Dietrich's fault. He made it up. So that's his fault. But I noticed that on X today when I just put the message on there about Chiesa on there and that. Bloody hell, talk about some people go off their head about it.
Yeah.
That we should be signing a bloody player like that for 13 million. That is a steal. Okay, not the best injury record, but people were saying get Neto for God's sake. He's got a worse injury record for 50 million.
Mate, I put a thing up saying, look, I'll tell you what I put, right? This is hilarious. So I put a post up. I put a post up saying Liverpool's front forward line. Diaz, Jota, Salah.
Yeah, we realize. Yeah.
Subs, Chiesa, Nunes, Gakpo. Tottenham, Son, Solanke, Johnson. Subs, Werner, Richarlison, Odegaard. Just admit it's bullshit. 67% of our forwards were all signed under Ange. I haven't even included Veliz or Solomon, right? Now, everyone's agreeing. One person messages me. Just you wait on Saturday at the Lane. I'm going to smash your fucking face in.
What?
Yeah. My reply is, we're not playing at White Hart Lane this weekend. So I'll see you there. Can't wait.
Look, the thing is, with most of these idiots doing this, yeah, they live in the basement and they still get their dinner made for them by their mother, for God's sake, and you know it. And just any of them, they just wouldn't even have the bottle to come and say hello for God's sake. I know this world is full of twisted people and everything. You don't have to tell me that. But most of these keyboard warrior idiots, they just wouldn't even have the bottle to go down the bloody shop, for God's sake.
Yeah. But guys, do you hear anything about VDV being injured?
Don't say that.
I heard he took a knock.
Oh no.
Yeah.
If we lose him, we're getting pumped. I predicted a 2-2 draw. I think we're going to draw this weekend. But if he's injured, high line.
I'm just checking it now.
Apparently, well, Carl in the chat said he was in the gym, so he's probably all right then. I don't know.
He better be all right. We need him.
Because apparently Ashmatic sent a message in one of the group chats we're in, and it said like he wasn't seen in the training video or something. But then Carl said in the chat he was at the gym, so I don't know. I don't know his whereabouts.
Yeah. We haven't even talked about Ange this whole show. I don't know where he got that from.
Maybe because I said Ange is the one signing most of the forwards at the club.
Which aren't good enough, I guess.
Yeah.
He signed Solanke. We don't know if he's good. He signed Werner, crap. Johnson, crap. Solomon, 1 year in, 1 year out. Veliz, 2 years here, 2 years out. What's he signing, man? And then he moans, we need more clinical creativity up front. Well, stop signing shit players, bro. Stop signing shit players then.
Still,
Timo Werner.
I've never known a Spurs manager to get to sign 6 forward players in a year.
Still, what I've said earlier, right? That could be the clause in Ange's contract. You get what I'm saying? Whatever we sign you have to say it's yours, right? And you just have to say everything is good. And you just have to ride it through. I don't know. Maybe Ange will break, for all I can see, right? But it's hard to say. But to tell the truth, right? Talking about our transfers and comparing it with Arsenal's transfers, and earlier I had a West Ham fan on and their transfers, right? I was telling them, what have we signed? The amount of money we spend on the kids, right? And if you are going to spend so much money on the kids, right? At least the club have the balls to come out and talk to the fans and tell them, right? This is a project for the future. Yes, don't use the manager to come out and say things like, oh, we're going to challenge for the league next season, right? Blah, blah, blah. This, that. Lies. All lies, all lies, all lies again. That's the thing. But the sad part is that Levy has cornered a very good section of football fans, right? Who are willing to take lies. That's all. There are very few of us who are not willing to take it. And when we spew out the truth, it hurts because it's the truth. Right? And if they can't take it, they become aggressive, they become personal. Guys, it's just football. There's more shit that's worse in the world that's going on. We all know that. Why do you get so sensitive and personal?
Eugene, it doesn't even necessarily need to be the truth, right? It's just you've got a view, you back it up. It's for someone else to then say, well, actually, I disagree with your view, and this is why. But they don't do that. They don't do that. No. It's just full-blown abuse, hate, World War III. And then if you dare throw a punch back after they've thrown one at you, you're the criminal.
Yeah, we've seen that happen to you before, bro. It's not the first time, right?
Mate, I'm under fire, in intense fire right now. And you know what? I love it because it means, well, why are they all reacting? If you think I'm a waffler, if it's all bullshit, why are you reacting? Block, ignore, but they can't because they're like, shit. There's actually people that agree. There's actually other people saying it, like Dan, Sava, you guys has. They're worried. They're worried that they can't control the narrative at Spurs anymore.
Yeah,
their view isn't the only one. They're worried, shit, there's another view and it's growing. And actually, our audience is their audience and the audience is watching both. So rather than debate us and challenge each other and have a conversation about it, they try and crush you and give you zero credibility that you're a paedophile, a rapist, a murderer, your mum's an alcoholic, your dad fucks goats. And they just try and
what?
I'll send you some screenshots I've got, I tell you. Right? They try and destroy you because they don't want to debate you. And all that does, it makes us stronger. Because those that are quiet, that don't comment, that just watch, they're not stupid, man. They can see, they can read between the lines. They're not stupid.
Yeah, they understand. And we all know that, right? And the thing is that still, it's taken us 3 years, right, to reach this stage. Remember when we first started 3 years ago, right? We were the minority of the minority, and this minority is growing. That is what is putting the fear into them. You can say not. And while this grows bigger and bigger, more and more people, I can tell you, sooner or later, a lot of the bigger channels are going to turn around and say that, right? Yo, we can't take this anymore, right? That's all.
Eugene, I don't think so. I don't think they'll ever do that.
No, it depends, right?
I don't think they'll ever turn on Levy, to be honest with you.
Yeah. No, it's hard to say. It's hard to say. And to tell you, in the earlier show that we did with Dan, right, we were talking about the 650 or 500 million pounds investment from Amanda Staveley, right? If that goes through, that will open the door will open a bit, and the foot will be at the door, and it slowly will open a jar. So let's hope that happens for us, because that's the only way we can see it, right? Because our owners are not ambitious for the club to win things. We have seen it over and over again, and it's repeating itself now again.
The only way you are going to see Levy out of that club, basically, is if he drops dead. Now, I don't wish that on no one. I'm not wishing nothing on no one, but let's just say shit happens. And, you know, if it happened, would I care? I can't say I would. But again, I'm not wishing nothing on the man. You know, break a leg, happy life, whatever else. But unless that happens, that man is not leaving that club unless someone puts 6 billion on that table, basically. Because Spurs
more or
are
less.
just going to rise and rise and rise as a business, not a football club, and just get bigger and bigger and bigger with its income, with its money. And Levy's just going to cling on to that until maybe one day in 20, 30 years, he decides to retire or he passes away. Godspeed. And yeah, and that's basically what he's going to do. And like I said, until he goes one way or another, it is what it is. Not that I was wishing death on the fellow or nothing, just shit happens.
I know. But the thing is that at this moment in time, right, our fan base has reached to a certain stage, right? People will start to wake up and people will start to understand. It's not that we are just crying here being crazy, but the point is that can't we see, right, the things that's happening, the lies that we've been sold, right? Like that's why I've been saying, even when Mike Ashley was in charge of, was the owner of Newcastle, right? At least Mike Ashley had the balls to come and tell the fans, right? I've got no money to spend. It is what it is. Suck it up and accept it. Until someone comes along and give me 200 million pounds that I want, right, to sell Newcastle, right? I'll still be here. Yeah. And in the end, the Saudis came in, bought them over, and now they are where they are. And they are building again, right? So it is what it is. But the thing is that, right, that's what BG says, right? Stel, you're right. We don't, why don't you annoy them with a little tweet again? Yeah, we reached 26K followers, right? So the support is growing. We all know the support is growing on the other side of the fence. You see?
It is, and it is blatantly obvious that people are actually slowly but surely starting to wake up and smell the coffee. It's gonna take more time, but I've only been doing this 13 months. I've only had my own channel since Tom, who started it all. Fair play to the man. Miss you on here.
Yeah, big up to Tommy. Yeah, we all miss you.
Big up Tommy.
Top fella, and been basically doing my own one for 6 months, and I've seen mine now go up to from about 2,600 when I started. I'm now on 3,424. It shows that some people are starting on a smaller one like mine as well, actually starting to listen to the other side. And then when you got the bigger ones like Stel, Sav, whatever else, and that's going up all the time as well. People are starting to listen. Because people are starting to realize what the real problem is, because nothing has changed.
Yeah, nothing has changed, right? But what we have to come back to is to understand is that football fans, they have their different levels of football fans. Sometimes it has to be certain way where how you want to see the game, how you want to accept the game. Certain football fans want certain things. So everyone is to their own. But the thing is that when it becomes, like when we tell the truth, and when things become personal and the attacks become like what Stel is going through now, right? That is not, that's not cool, guys. You get what I'm saying? It's not worth that kind of thing for someone.
You've got to look on that from a psychological side, yeah? Now, the way you've got to look at it is when someone can't debate their point. Opinions are opinions at the end of the day, but even when you've got an opinion, as far as I'm concerned, you've got to have a reason to have that opinion. Not just, because I said so. There's got to be a reason to everything, as far as I'm concerned. There is, even if it's a minor reason. Why do you prefer that? Oh, it just tastes a bit sweeter than that. There you go. There's your reason. There's your opinion. The reason a lot of people do it like this is because they just can't hold their ground. They know they cannot challenge it when it comes to the hardcore facts, let alone opinion. So what people do is label you as an object, which makes it 10 times easier for them to lay into you, basically, because you're only an object to them now. And that is just the mentality that those sort of people have, because football has now become so political at the same time as everything else that if you don't believe one side, you get basically what Stel gets, you get what Saba gets, and you get what others get and everything. And that's just the way people do things these days, because they haven't got a leg to stand on if they was to actually debate you like another man or a woman or whatever they wish to be on the day, face to face. They can't do it because they know they ain't got a bloody leg to stand on, depending what they are on the day, if they've even got bloody legs.
Yeah. Hey, pick up to Andreas, right, all the way from Mexico. Hope you're doing well, Andreas. I haven't seen you in a long time. Yes, I haven't been doing a lot of shows. Yeah, just trying to get back onto the. To me, right, it's doing shows is like, you know, when you have that passion to do it, then you will come out to do it, right? But you know, somehow or another along this summer transfer window, I just lost the passion because the signings were coming in.
Eugene, was it before Werner or after Werner?
To tell the truth, right? Werner was
During.
it was during Werner, and then when it was during Werner, right, deep down inside, right, I really knew, right, Werner will be our first signing, and just like, oh man, again. It is what it is, guys.
That killed the window for me anyway, so.
I don't know. But to tell the truth, right, I was really happy, right, to see Werner not even coming onto the pitch, and he was still on the bench during the Everton game. That's all I can say. Right?
I mean, Eugene, we did the same thing last year. Same thing last year, right? We didn't want to spend the money. Trossard for £27 million is too expensive. He's not good enough for Spurs. He's gone to Arsenal. He's tearing it up. Best super sub in the country right now. Comes off the bench and just, you know, we've done it again. Chiesa's not good enough. £11 million is too expensive. Fuck it. 30 million. Get that Odebert in. Yeah. Get a 19-year-old kid. We never ever learn. And I don't know if Chiesa's going to stay fit, but if he does, it's going to come to bite us in the ass. It's going to come back to bite us in the ass. You wait and see. He is a good player, and he's proven. And people are slagging him off. It's stupid.
I have been telling everyone. I mean, how long ago did I mention this on my channels and one of yours? Still,
like 2 months ago, probably, maybe longer.
Oh, more than that, mate. Make it about 6 months ago that I mentioned one player I'd love to get from Juventus, and I reckon they will sell up. Is Chiesa. Yes, all right. He had a dodgy 2 years because of his injury. It was a nasty injury, but then everyone can stop bigging up Bentancur. Like, oh, don't worry, Bentancur's going to come good again. He'll be quality what he was before he got his injury. Well, what's good for one is good for the other as well. Will he be as good? Mm-hmm. Only time will tell on that one. Last season he still played 30-odd games, 10 goals, okay season sort of thing, but that was his first full season back. I don't care what anybody wants to tell me on this. I mean, I even had people accuse me, you obviously don't watch Italian football and that. Like, no, I don't, mate, do I? And he is twice the player of any winger we have got, including Son. And the reason I say including Son is because Son is brilliant at cutting in with the pace he's still got, and he's a world-class finisher. Or he's even good as a striker. But as an actual winger, can he cross that ball? No. Can he pass that ball good? No. Can he do what a winger needs to do and dribble it past his man? No. It's just not Son's way of playing. If you want a good out-and-out winger or someone who can even cut in as a winger or a forward, Chiesa, he can cross, he can pass, he can dribble, he's got skill, he's got pace on it. He's got it. Will it work? Only time will tell. But 13 million, for me, is a no-brainer. It's a gamble worth taking. Yeah, like a load of our fan base, though, were saying, we want Neto, go for Neto. He hasn't played a full season for 3 or 4 years and scored what? 4 goals? That is just how dickhead, sorry, Elias, but Eugene, that is just how dickhead some of these fan base is.
No, the thing is that, Dan, it's a very simple thing, right? When we were linked to Chiesa at the time, right, it was all up. Oh, we should get him, blah, 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 and all that. So the thing is that our fan base is very weird, We don't stick to the words that we say out there. We always flip-flop.
Oh, no, Eugene, as soon as it goes to another club, he's awful.
Yeah, then he's shit.
Ange didn't want him. All this sort of crap.
And then Chiesa will get injured, and Chiesa is always injury-prone and all that. Players always get injured. You get what I'm saying? Because it's the game. It's a contact sport, right? You're not gonna expect players not to get injured, right? But the problem is that how many times would he get injured? Would he play enough and all that, right? But to tell the truth, if Chiesa comes here and he can score 15 goals, right, even through his injury spell, right, it will be worth it. But guys, he's gone to Liverpool, so we can't say anything. But my question now to you guys is,
he went to Liverpool, who finished above us, right? By how many points? I don't know. But apparently he's not good enough for us, but he's good enough for Liverpool. I don't understand it.
Exactly that, mate. Exactly
No.
that.
That is the thing, is that when people are trying to hide their true emotions and their feelings, right? So they're lying to themselves. Again, simple as that. Why do people still believe that Levy has done great for this club? They're lying to themselves again, right? Yes, Levy is a good businessman. Spurs has become a multi-billion pound entity. Yes, but the football is shit. Right? We won one cup in the past 16 years. Right?
2 in the past 30 is a better way to put it.
Right? And again, you said 2 in the past 30 years, right? You include the 1991 FA Cup, or was it 1990? When was the last one? Right, the 1991 FA Cup, or what? The
91 was the last FA Cup. I wasn't even born, by the way, at that point.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's so far away, right? But guys, to let the fans understand how they want to see our club progress, right? Some people want to see our club progress in the financial sense, right? Oh, we won't get bankrupt. We won't be what call what during the Sugar days, right? We nearly, unless Alan Sugar came in to buy what was it? Buy the club from Irving Scholar, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you're right.
Family that owned it. Yeah, we would have been bankrupt. There wouldn't be a Tottenham Hotspur, right? But it is what it is. But I keep telling people, right? Spurs has grown so big, right? We can't fail anymore. Once you reach a certain level, when you're into the billions, right, you will never be bankrupt. That's the thing. But the thing is that a lot of people will understand that, right?
Eugene,
Right. And
there's someone called Billy in your chat saying, why did Juve not want him? Chiesa refused to sign a new deal because Allegri kept playing him as a striker, and he's not a striker.
He's a winner.
So he fell out with the
manager.
Yeah. Does that answer your question, Billy, or are you just going to continually shit on any player that wants to leave a football club? Because you could say any player that came to Spurs, why did you want to leave that club? Why did you want to leave them?
It's very simple, because we buy. No, you know why? You know why, right? All the players that we bought, right, left their clubs. Number one, Odegaard. Burnley was relegated. Where is he going to go? If he gets a chance to go to Spurs, he will jump onto us, right? Archie Gray, a young coming up talent from Leeds, right? Wouldn't you want to play in the Premier League? Of course you would want to play in Premier League.
Why did Harry Kane want to leave Spurs, Billy? Why did Harry Kane want to leave?
Yeah.
We're doing so well. We're such a
Yeah. But we all know,
forward-thinking club. Kane wanted to leave, yeah.
Yeah, we all know, right? We've been through it, right? It's deja vu, it's Groundhog's Day. We are starting all over again, right? And let's see whether we're going to crash, or we're going to burn, or whether we're going to be successful. Right?
We're still doing the same transfer policy we've been doing for the past 20 years. It's just pushed a different way. They mentioned the stuff about data. It's just to try and dress it up a different way. It's still the same thing. We're still buying young players on cheap wages, just try and make money off them in 2-3 years. That's all it is.
Do you know people? There's this documentary on Spotify. It's actually really good. Someone's basically put together where is it? How to win the Premier League, the inside story of football's data revolution, and it goes back to when data analytics began. And do you know who's right at the beginning of it? Do you know who's one of the pioneers?
No.
Tottenham Hotspur. In 2005, we were right at the forefront of this.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned 2005, because I've been banging on about that year for the past, since the window's opened, really. So
we were right at the forefront of it. So we've been using data analytics for 20 years, people. The difference is the club last year decided to market it to the fans, because the fans, like sheep, they just follow the herd and just lap up anything they're given. Guys, every scout uses data. Agents use data. Do you know there's a portal they all log into? I've seen it through a scout. I know there's a national and a European and a global scouting system. You go in and you pull up data like you've never seen before.
Is that Y-Scout, or is it something else? Is that Y-Scout?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, and they pay for it. So everyone's been using data for years. Like you can get more precise data. Like, for example, Liverpool right now are using some really advanced piece of kit. It's actually derived from missile guidance systems for that level of precision on.
All right. Okay.
Well, this is where it's all going, and then AI is going to come in eventually and start working the data. But the way Spurs said, we're going to go with the data analytics model. We've looked at Brighton. We've been doing data for years, man. It's nothing new.
Stel, I'm going to explain to you, right? We've been
hoax.
You know
and
what?
the fans are like, yeah, but Liz must be good because the data said so. What are you talking about?
Stel, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell
Obviously,
you.
we're using wrong data then, are we? Because if we're saying
wait. We've been using data analytic, right, for the past nearly 20 years. You know for what? To buy players to punt on, not to buy players to win things. Can't you
tell you what they
see?
do, Eugene? They put in there, they go, who's between the ages of 18 to 24?
Yeah, and then who is the potential, at what price? And the thing is that their data, right, is to collect the price, right, and punt on to see whether they can make the club money. You get what I'm saying? Not? And
Eugene, there's people in the chat asking about this, right? I'm going to WhatsApp you so you can put it in the chat. Guys watching the show, I'm going to send it to Eugene now, and then he can put it in the chat. You do have to pay for it. It's not free, but I highly recommend you watch this. Eugene, I just sent it to you.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, it's on Spotify. If you see it there, it's how to win the Premier League. It's a fantastic. Honest, look, I was really intrigued by it. I think it's a really well put program, documentary.
All right, I'll put it in the chat right now. All right, it's going in there. Right, this is the one. Right.
I recommend you all. Listen, I put it in the private chat as well for you guys on the show now. If you want to have a look, I highly recommend if this is your kind of thing. It's good, man. It's really good. It's very interesting, and it also shows you what bullshit fucking Spurs have been telling everyone. Absolute bollocks. That's what it is.
No, that's what 9 hours long.
9 hours long.
It's broken into sections. Dan, it's brilliant though. It's brilliant.
I'll have a watch of that.
Yeah. That's a good one.
So I'll tell you what. If you watch this, next time someone brings up stats and data in a debate, you'll fucking crush him because you will know how it actually works and the history of it and where we are now.
I mean, with a lot of it, you can just these days go and Football Bloody Manager.
Yeah. But the point I was making is, though, like the way Spurs say, data analytics, we're using this new model, it's all a hoax, man. It's all smokes and mirrors.
Like what you're saying
that way when they're doing something different over here. That's what they do.
Like what I've been saying, right? The data analytics that we've been using, right, is not for the purpose of football. The data analytics we've been using, right, is for the purpose of investment. So, yeah, big up to Daniel Levy again. Yeah.
It is how everything is done these days. Nearly everything is done through data these days. That is just the way it is. That is the time of life we are at now, and it is only going to get more and more and more like that. It's just the way it goes now. I mean, how long is it before we're going to have a little hole in the back of our head where we can stick an SSD in there or something like that, or a little USB or USB-C or whatever? You know, I mean, that ain't that far away either. You know, it gets to the point where you can just pay things by tapping your ring on it or whatever. That's where we go.
Dan, you don't really know Will Stewart too much, right? Will Stewart was the most data-driven, stats-debating guy on YouTube when it came to football, right? And everyone was at him and people... Anyway, and I said to Will one day, I said to him, Will, you shouldn't get angry in arguments because I guarantee you in 5 years' time, every show is just going to be data, stats, data. And it's going to be less and less eye test, less and less what we actually see. And I don't agree with that, by the way. I don't agree with that. I think it should always be the eye test first, and then the data should back up what you see, right? But it's going to go more and more data because everyone's a freaking robot. I watch, iPhone, this, AI that, Football Manager this. we're just getting bombarded with data to the point of where you could have a brilliant football player, but if the data comes up with something wrong, you're going to say no good. That's where we're going to end up. And all these shows that we do like this, it's just going to be data arguments. Your spreadsheet's bigger than mine. My pie chart's more sexy than yours, and we're going to be part of it. I guarantee you, we'll all be part of it.
Sooner or later, maybe in 6 months to a year's time, right? That will fall into it. And to tell you the truth, it hasn't even taken 5 years to go into it, right? Data is already coming in. You say, Will has always been correct.
Oh, mate. If you want to put it to data, then what Spurs use is I've got a PlayStation 5 in my bedroom, and that they've probably still got a bloody Nintendo 64 or something, ain't they?
Do you know what? I think a good analysis should be eye test, data, what the experts say. Like, when you hear Gary Neville talk or when you hear Carragher talk, and video footage replayed. So video footage replayed, actually watching the game, data, stats, and then the experts. You should bundle it all together and say, right, this is kind of this is what I think. But what people do is they just pick one and they pound it. And
you're right. Yeah.
And you think,
but still, don't forget,
it's like Johnson. Johnson's a great example of this, though, because people say about his GA, and then if you look at the context of his all-round play and also just his actual assists and his actual type of goals, you're thinking this guy can't be really that good because all his goals are like tap-ins, or he misses big. And you look at they ignore the missed big chances. You know that stat, the missed big chances.
Yeah. They're all tap-ins against Burnley.
They'll just focus on the GA, and then they'll.
But still, remember
exactly. Yes.
Yeah. But still, remember, right? I asked you a question. I think a few months back, right? While you being a coach and a scout, right? That you said there are 5 principles that people look for, right, in the player and all that, whether they're going to turn out good or bad, right? But in the end of the day, I did ask you one thing: the mentality side is one thing that's very hard to catch. Their actual emotions, their behavior. And
it's the most important one, by the way.
Yes, and it's the most important one. And then remember, I sent you something from the BBC that somebody in Chelsea, there's this guy, I can't remember what his name is. When he went into Chelsea, right, he transformed the mentality of all the Chelsea players until they became winners. You see, so most probably we need something.
No, hold on. That stemmed from the owner, because the owner wanted Chelsea to be the best for winning trophies, the most successful at winning trophies, and to be known for being the best club to want to come to if you want to win trophies and nothing but trophies. Abramovich brought that to Chelsea. Our owners, they fucking want us to think it's sexy to build a hotel. They want us to literally get aroused over a Formula One contract. We've got a completely different football ownership.
No, don't forget. We had to get.
Have you ever heard our owners come out and say, we want to win the Premier League. We're going to go and win the Premier League. This is what we're about. When did they ever say anything even close to that? They say, we want to be competitive. What the fuck does that mean?
Well,
it's meant to be vague on purpose anyway. So, It's meant. I think it's meant to be vague on purpose. Sorry. All right.
Ange doesn't know what
he's meant to be vague.
I know.
No, Ange knows what he's talking about. He's been fed all these lies to lie to us. I think he is.
He says one thing. He says one thing.
No, I can say one thing about Ange now, right? Whenever he opens his mouth, right, I don't hear Ange. You understand? Whenever Ange opens his mouth now, what I hear is the club is talking through him. What Levy wants to send out the PR message to the fans.
No, I've got a slightly different perspective to this now. Yeah, I mean, I've done a show on Spurs Kings TV last night. Really good show. Enjoyed it and everything. Thanks for Ash and Marlon having me on there. Other fella, can't remember his bloody name now. Alex on there as well. Good show. Good debate on there. Afterwards, me, Ash, and Alex, we was just having random chat like you do after a show. And what Ash said to me and Alex, it definitely made me think a slightly different way about Ange. Is he just that much of a yes man? Is he just this much a whatever and that? Or is he just bloody gullible or stupid? Whatever, yeah? What Ash turned round and said was what he thinks and basically put it across that what Ange did It wasn't necessarily doing what he was told to say by the club. We're going to go for titles. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. More how was it he described it? More that he just basically put himself on a cross like Jesus and said, throw it all at me. I can take it all. I'm here for the fans. I'm going to do what's right for you and everything else. And it's severely come back and bit him in the arse, basically. That's pretty much how he described it, if I've got it right. If I've missed a bit, I apologise. But that's pretty much...
Say again, Dan. Say again.
That basically, when Ange came in,
yeah,
he knew this place was a shambles, basically, yeah? Okay, I'm still a firm believer as all he had to do was kick the ball forward and he won more than half the fans. But what he did was basically stick himself on a cross like a bloody god, like Jesus, whatever you want to say, and basically put himself out for the fans to take all the crap, basically. I can take this. I'm here for you. I'm going to be your leader, whatever else, and tell everyone what they want to hear because I can get this club working this way. It's what he actually believed, not what he got told to do as such. And I think he's actually realised, like, shit, I shouldn't have done that because I can't do it.
I disagree with Ash, and I'll tell you why. Because
that's if I've said it right on everything he said, because it was 1 a.m, but that's basically sort of thing what he said, and I can get his point where he's getting at.
No, I disagree with Ash. I'll tell you why. Because when Ange first come into the club, in one of his interviews with the press, he said he spoke about the previous managers, so he knew exactly how it works, and he spoke about how the previous managers hadn't brought success to the club. So I don't quite buy what Ash says, only because of what Ange said about the previous managers and acknowledging that they didn't even win at this club.
So what do you think about him, though, in terms of
he's completely out of his depth.
Oh, okay.
I just think he's come to... I think he's learning on the job at this level. And if he's given 3-4 years, maybe he can prove us wrong. But if he's only here for a couple of years, I don't see it, man. Like you can't convince someone like me for 30 odd years who's seen what the problem is, which is it's not the managers. It is the managers, but it's the inability to demand that the club stops buying shit.
Yeah,
we don't.
He said yes to everyone. Apparently, he's told us.
So there you go. Like. Yeah. We need oven-ready players. What's the difference between Brennan Johnson and Dan Juma? You lot tell me. What's the difference? There's no difference between them. They're both playing average.
Brenda plays more.
Dan Juma's probably better.
Brenda plays more. Dan Juma's better.
Timo Werner. Anyone that says, I want Timo Werner. I want Veliz. Yeah, give me Solomon. Yeah. Brennan Johnson,
and we're going to challenge for the league. Yeah,
and then you sign Bergvalls, Grays, Odeberts. These players need 2-3 years, man. It took Saka 2-3 years. They need 2-3 years. Is he going to be here for 4 years? So I just feel that.
The biggest issue with that is it's not actually to do with that. Is he going to be here 3-4 years? It's more to do with the fact that these young players, I think they'll be here for like 2-3 years minimum, right? I think personally. But by the time they get good, everyone claims they're going to be generational or whatever buzzwords everyone uses. Van der Ven and Romero won't be here. So by the time we make one good thing, the defense probably won't even be here. We'll have to rebuild that again. So it's a perpetual cycle.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
But with the Ange thing, I can see the point that was made, as in, I do think he come into this club very gullible in the aspect of I can win this fan base over, I can do it my way. I probably haven't described it the best way that he said it because I just ain't got the best way of re-describing things, whatever. But I can actually picture it that he did actually come here seriously believing, because he's a confident man, whatever else, and that thinking, you know what, I can make this work. And he wanted to be our saviour, basically. And in doing the process, he shot himself in the head. I can see that sort of side of it.
No manager will ever be successful at Spurs if they do not accept, unless they stop tolerating players that aren't of a level. How you cannot demand the club pays the money for Trossard but you're all right with a Solomon or a Werner. Like they got Trossard and we got Werner. Like what the hell, man? What in the actual hell, right? And this is
Liverpool
the
just
problem.
got Chiesa and we re-signed Werner.
This is what I'm saying to you. So this is
I totally agree.
This is why managers fail, because what will happen is we'll go on a good run and then we'll get to this really important moment, and we'll come up against a team that can bring on a Chiesa, that can bring on a Gakpo, that can bring on a Kobe Minu, a Trossard, and we're going to bring on what? Richarlison. You know how the story ends. You know how it ends.
I know.
Because I've seen it happen against Chelsea in the semi-final, against Liverpool in the final, against Man City in the final, against Chelsea. No, who was it? Man United in the semi-final. I've seen what happens in those clutch moments. Certain clubs bring on players that change the game.
In the Chelsea semi-final, I remember they brought on was it Hazard? Batchway Hazard.
Hazard. They brought on what's his name? The centre mid that scored the absolute
the banger with Matic.
Yeah,
they brought on him. Like their subs were like fire, and
we brought on Kyle Walker. We brought on Kyle Walker.
And we had Nkudu, Janssen, Sissoko. That was our bench.
You're right. You're right on what you're saying.
Look at our bench now. Archie Gray, Jed Spence, Odegaard, Richarlison. They're not winning you those big games.
I think it looks worse than it did last season, personally. I honestly look at that bench, and the other problem we've got on that bench is we have, apart from having no one in that can possibly change a game. I mean, possibly if you bring Kulusevski on, is he on the bench? He could possibly change something. We haven't got no one who can play a different way as such. Everyone we've got on the bench is to play the same way as every player that's on the pitch. So if I bring on a right-sided player, he plays basically exactly the same way. You can't change really nothing because the players are all the same players, if you get what I'm getting at. I think it looks worse than what it did last season.
If there's 20 minutes to go and we're playing Liverpool in an FA Cup semi-final, who do you want coming off the bench to try and win you the game? Kulu or Trossard?
Trossard.
And that's the difference. And what fans will say is, oh, we're cursed. The club, no, we're not fucking cursed. We don't.
Yes, we are cursed. We are cursed.
Like an ambitious club that wants to win trophies in the transfer market.
We are cursed. We are cursed because we have Daniel Levy as our owner.
Eugene.
No, we're not cursed. We have a choice as a fan base to do something about that. We choose to have him as the chairman. We allow it.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't forget United
we allow him to be the chairman still.
They egged his house and shit, didn't they? I think they egged his house, didn't they?
Well, they forced Ineos in. They managed to get Ineos in. Yeah. Whether that works or not, I don't know.
What do you three think on the subs bench? Does it look worse than last season, or does it actually look better? Personally, to me, I think it looks worse.
What I'll say is that we have no number 6 now. So when he used to bring on Højbjerg to see out a game, he doesn't have that option anymore. In the last 20 minutes.
About? We got Archie Gray.
But he's not. Someone. It's not.
I know. I'm being sarcastic.
Yeah. That's where I think it's worse.
We haven't even got Skip. We haven't even got Skip.
Yeah.
At least he might do it. He might do a little something. You never know. But
Skip and Winks might, lift Leicester from their relegation woes. But guys, hold on. I need to go one round, get your last thoughts, because it's nearly, it's already past 12:30 a.m. in Malaysia here. We've been doing this for about nearly 2.5 hours. Harry, last thoughts?
Well, just same old with Tottenham. And I just pray we get some sort of draw at Newcastle on Sunday.
Some kind of draw. Okay.
I'll take a point right now, mate. Just give me a point and I'm taking it.
Oh, Dan. Your turn, Dan.
Same Spurs, different day. Same Spurs, same transfer bloody window. It's just diabolical at the end of the day. And trust me, there's going to be a lot more of me on X because I've got quite a lot to say now because I've fucking had enough. Yeah, I've had enough. And game with Newcastle, I'll snap a point out your hand straight away. Do I think we can get a draw? Yes, I think we do. If Ange adapts his game a little bit to it, if he plays the same way that we did for the past, like last season there, even if they've got half their players missing, which they did in the last game, We're going to be walking off of that pitch like John Wayne. Simple as that. No Vaseline.
Oh, Snell. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, I'm fine, man. I'm fine. I mean, I walk around with a bulletproof vest now, but I'm all right.
You're like,
it's all right, mate. I'll tell you what, I'll send it to you in the post. I've got a stab-proof one that I used to have to wear up London when I worked up there at Ali Pally and that.
I need it for Saturday when apparently we're playing at home.
It's a bit heavy, I must admit, but it does the job.
yeah. You'll ask for Snell.
I think we're drawing Newcastle. They're not looking very good. I think attacking wise, we're creating some good chances. So I think we'll get the draw. But defensively, if they come at us, that's why I don't think we will win, because they will get into us. But the only thing I'll say, if we don't get a point minimum against this current Newcastle team that haven't bought any players in right this summer, I'm sorry. That is hugely unacceptable of a club that spent a lot of money and apparently is much better this season. If you can't get at least a point and improve from last season against this current Newcastle, then you've got to look at the manager. You must look at him and say, how? Why? You can't just be a case of, we don't ever get anything up there. Well, no, that's bollocks. That's an excuse. You got to justify it. So I think we will get a draw. I think we'll get a draw. Listen, we could.
So do you think he'll change it somewhat then, or not? No.
Yeah. But guys, remember,
that's
right?
a good one. I like it.
No, because you said we're going to get a draw. So I'm just asking, how do you think it's going to happen? That's why.
I just don't think Newcastle are as good.
Oh, okay. All right.
But guys,
it's not so
right,
much because we changed.
we've conceded 10 goals at Newcastle in the past 2 seasons, right? So, that is bringing back PTSD. Last season, when they were like decimated with injuries and we were going there to smash them, and what happened? That brings back PTSD to me too. But I would love to get a draw. And if we do get a win, then maybe we'll give some kudos to Ange, right? But if we get smacked, the knives are coming out.
If we get a win, I'll praise Ange for that. If he goes up there and gets to win, and it's not like a fluky, lucky thing, it's like we deserve it. I'll praise him. I'll say, do you know what? Fair play to the guy, man. Fair play. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And guys, thanks for your support today, right? There are a lot of you guys in the chats, right? I can't say thank you to all you guys, right? Hope you like the show. Of course, don't forget, subscribe to Hasper TV, Dan on the Hotspur Hood, and of course, Stelios on Tottenham Way. Everybody loves Stelios now, right? Everybody wants a piece of him.
Yeah, bam.
And of course, guys, don't forget, subscribe to Spurs Vision TV, right? If I can get 1,000 subscribers, it'd be good. Then maybe I can stop working and just do YouTube. Let's see how that goes.
No, mate, that'd just be depressing.
Yeah, no. I'll do my YouTube channel on Spurs and I'll turn it into a food channel instead of football. Oh dear. Guys, thanks for being on. I'll catch up with you in the back room. Let me do the outro. All right. Take care, everyone. Have a good night.
Take care.
Good afternoon to wherever you are. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.